I'm
Boosh.
organizing my dice.
We are now live, I think, and hopefully the
Yes.
chat can hear us, and
Oh,
hopefully
can I
they
have
can
a
hear
link
you
to
as
your
well.
stream?
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Hold on. I have it on Twitter.
There we go. Hello, chat. Hello, okay. Hey, okay. Yeah, we are streaming at silly o'clock. So, welcome to Heavyweight Gaming. I'm Heavy. I will assume most of the people watching are friends of, well, these lovely four on the screen in front of you. Hey up, Uli. How you doing? Right, so, welcome to the channel. We're going to play some D&D. I know you're shocked. But yes, that's all we normally play on the channel is D&Ds and Pathfinders and Cyberpunk games and all sorts of stuff. For years! It's got to be 2 or 3 years now, ish.
Yeah.
We met playing D&D, so we decided that the next time we met, we'd play D&D. So, all I'm going to do is quickly go. These lot are going to introduce their lovely selves, and then I'll talk some wonderfulness about D&D, and then we're going to roll dice and see what characters they've come up with. These little chibi... Oh, I've got to do all my normal stuff first. Social media. If you go to Instagram... I've got no mods on. Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and just look for Heavyweight. You'll find me. It's just me letting you know when the channel's going live, what we're writing, what our plans are. So feel free, if you'd like to know what we're doing, or I'm doing. I'm in the UK, by the way, so you're probably not going to be awake when I post, but feel free. We do have official sponsors because we're super famous, just no one's heard of us. So, Loki Battle Mats, they are a wonderful map making family business over here, and every time they throw out a Kickstarter, it immediately gets funded because they're just brilliant at what they do. So please check out Loki Battle Mats. I'm going to try and remember my commands. That I need some mods. Does this work? That didn't work. So yeah, we'll get right on that. Go check out Loki Battle Mats. I'll try and get some links up as we go. It's not working. It's not working.
No, it's not. So what I'm learning from this is streamers are great, but their mods run it.
Yes,
Yeah, mods
100%,
do everything.
100%. And yes, there are two Ashanas. That confused me as well, by the way. So go check out Loki Battle Mats. They're amazing, and they do flip out books. So you just throw them on your table, bang, they're like A3, A4, A5 sizes. You can you'll end up with tundras and mountains and castles and towns and taverns. They're really good at what they do. They've done some sci-fi stuff as well. They're brilliant. They also do digital versions of everything they do. So go check them out. I do need nighttime mods, Uli. Your name's, in fact, Uli. Can I make you a mod right now? I can't. You're going to get made a mod, by the way. Just so you know, Uli. Right, so go check out them. Our other couple of sponsors are Coyote Grey. If you go to Roll20 and go to the marketplace and put in Coyote Grey, you'll see over 1,000 chibi tokens. So these little dragon tokens that you can see on the screen, he does loads of artwork similar to that, and every single thing he's ever done, I've immediately bought because I'm in love with it and I think they're brilliant. And so go check out Coyote Grey. There's loads and loads of cool little chibi tokens, and you can download them and use them all your other virtual tabletops like Fantasy Grounds, Foundry, etc. Our third sponsor, officially, more recently, Sirenscape. If you haven't heard of them, go check them out. They do ambience and sound sets that you can play out of your tablets, PCs, phones, etc. So if you're playing around the table, because you're very, very lucky, you can have a great musical ambience going on for like towns. You know, you're running through a cave, dragons breathing fire on you. It's very immersive. And if you play online, you can download a web player app, and whoever's hosting can invite your friends. They can hear the music you're playing, and you can still have that beautiful ambience. So go check out them. So Loki Battle Mats, Coyote Grey, Sirenscape. And in my mods, where's my mods? I've now broke my chat. Okay. Right, cool. So let's go back to this. What else do I normally do? If you go to Dungeon Masters Guild, there's some heavyweight stuff on there. Just put heavyweight, and you'll get Tasha's Heavier Crockpot of Bits and Bobs and Frank and Kenzie's Traders Compendium. They're source material that a load of my nerdy mates drew artwork for and did a load of writing for. And there's like over 200 copies sold and stuff. They're really cool. They're really, really cool. Go check them out. We do this thing with 200 bits. Right? My lot will already know this that are already on. And how do I get rid of your name, Tony? Aha, it's there. Oh, there we go. If you are crazy enough that you want this lot to have a reroll, and if you throw 200 bits at the channel, they get a reroll. They can use it on anything they want except my rolls and their death saving throws. Thank you, Tony, straight away. He's put them in there.
That's a dangerous thing. Yes, that is.
Aye. Ooh, I don't have that. I'll have to set that up. I don't have the alerts going on this because it's a new stream. My bad. Cheers, Uli. Thanks for that. So yeah, you've currently got a reroll. So note taker, I think you volunteered, Ashana. You have a reroll that your party can use. You cannot carry them over to your next session. So if your adoring fans send you them, use them today, tonight, this morning.
For clarification, can anybody use it?
It's a party reroll. Yes.
Ooh.
If we have a few sadists in the chat and they throw 500 bits, I get a reroll just to laugh at your plans. I think that's it, Uli. That's it, isn't it? That's what I'd always shout about. Yeah, cool. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to get a nighttime mod. Right. So what we'll do is, if we'll go around yourselves as an introduction, who you are, what you're playing, etc. Anything you want to shout about, really. And then I'll do some lovely monologuing about what we're about to do. So on my screen, Shana, you're first.
Yeah, the best and worst place. If you guys don't know me already, my name is Ashurna. I do glass art here on Twitch. Met Heavyweight a couple years back, playing some D&D. And tonight I will be playing Endernim. Endernim, I practiced this name and now I'm stalling because I'm nervous. I'm playing a dragonborn cleric. I'll be one of the clerics of the Forge. So hopefully I'll bring a little bit of fire from the real world into the game as well.
Love it. Next on is Misty.
Hello. I am Misty. I'm also a Twitch streamer, cooking without looking. Sometimes I cook. Not as much as I used to because I'm trying to get set up in a new place right now. So we do all sorts of things. Do I count as a variety streamer now? I think I'm a variety streamer. Yeah. Ish brought me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm playing a Kitsune. Her name is Saskia. Saskia Sole.
Yes.
That's it. That's all I got.
Next we have Moodles or Mahoodles.
Hi, I'm Mahoodles. I do variety streams and sometimes I do science education on like outer space and astrobiology and like the oceans and sharks and conservation and stuff. But yeah, generally just video games. Tonight I am like such a noob, so bear with me. I'll be playing a Summer Eladrin elf, a warlock named Astari, and yeah.
Lovely. Onyx.
Hi, I'm Onyx Hawk. I actually am the only non-streamer, there we go, in this group. I am also a game nerd from video games to RPGs, like D&D. And I'm also Ish's carbon copy, or she's mine, however you want to take it. I am going to be playing Audrey, who is a Sylvari rogue. So, gotta add a little bit of that sneaky stealth in there.
We do like stealthy. Right.
We'll try.
So, this is session 1 of your, supposed to be a one-shot, probably going to be a 12-year campaign called Walking Dreams. So, took me all day to think of that. Right. Let me see. Hopefully, chat, you'll be able to hear some music when I press play. So, chat, you should be able to hear some music. I will have to caveat, if it gets a bit loud, you need to let me know in chat so I can turn it down, because it's on the same mixer as the players. Right. We join our adventurers on a skyship, because, you know, skyships are cool. So I've got a monologue prepared. You've already seen this, players. So the skyship swayed. The usually bright yellow sunstones, charged with arcane power, were nothing more than a glow. On deck was the night crew, a handful of the sky sailors that maintained general duties in the quiet hours. Captain Usala Lang and Earth Ganassi, obsessed with flying, sleep soundly and smiling within their cabin. her snores like that of a landslide, the crew of the Winged Mountain more than used to their captain's sultry tones. The sky is full of stars. The most obvious constellation in the night is that of Caleth Ulan, the Soul Light, protector of the first breath. The 8 stars of the constellation standing proudly out in the sea of glittering light. Portamir is your destination, a nation on the continent of Surut. Specifically, the city of Tamilji. Tamilji? You know, I write this stuff and I never know how to pronounce it. Tamilji is a town that is split up into 4 sections, self-proclaimed districts, and one that wishes to place itself in history as a town for the New Age. Each district boasts a grand number of people working with a broad topic, each with their own plans and projects, with ideas that they will create or discover something that will note them down in history. It is here, more than anywhere else in Portamir, that you may spot a variety of races, pretty much all of them. In the Northern District lays claim to astrology, welcoming all with the powers of farsight, spells that allow one to view things from vast distances. These people work towards discovering the stars. They are slowly mapping as many celestial bodies as they can possibly find. It is also the birthplace of the arcane school of constellamancy. Star magic. The Eastern District has entranceways strictly regulated with very specialised guards that will happily guide those knowledgeable in alchemy to the right buildings within. They're very secretive about their alchemy. The Southern District certainly stands out amongst the researchers of Tamilji as a great many people seeking to learn the different ways of cooking around the world. Researchers and scholars of South Tamilji host small events throughout the year to discover cuisine from other cultures and truly explore the tastes around the world of Colossus. Finally, the Western District is one for the records, if I do say so myself. Tamilji views the past as something to be learned from, and has more homes to books, tomes, scrolls, and other written forms of knowledge than it does people. The only form of knowledge not allowed in the libraries of the southern parts of Tamil, I might have to rename that. Spell books. They don't like spell books. No spell books in the libraries. They are concerned that those of Portamir, who would invade and obtain those spell books for themselves and possibly destroy other knowledge in the process. So there's a bit of a soft ban on allowing spell books in the libraries. You are on the skyship heading here because of a request sent out from those of the Northern District, the astrologers. They have foreseen the falling of a star, and they wish to get ahead of this knowledge in case anyone else learns of it. It is apparently going to fall near Rashida's outpost, several days' travel east of the town. When your great skyship docks, you will be met by someone called Al Saroon, an astrologist whose reputation is more about trekking the sands and relaxing under the stars rather than researching them. So, as a great skyship comes into dock, I believe I put a map up in the thingy. I will do it again if needs be. 2 seconds. I say this with great confidence. So if you look in the Discord, there is a map, a very rough map of I put that in the wrong chat. Let's do that again. Yes. Right, there is a map of the nation of Portamir. It's very rough. It's not highly detailed. It is incredibly ill-scaled, but it is as rough and as ready as you could obtain on the Winged Mountain skyship. And you are on the far south of that map. So
Heavy.
Yeah.
Real quick. So we were individually contacted because of this and asked to come here, or are we just happening to be in the area?
I will say that yourself and Audrey, being your reasons for wandering, you've acquired passage on the skyship, and it just happens to be going here and is a perfect advantage for your current adventures.
Wonderful. That makes much more sense.
Istari, your obvious reasoning is the astrology side and the falling of stars. So it is very appealing to you. And I've just had a random bard kick in on Sirenscape.
Quite talented.
Yeah. We usually have a market seller selling sugar dates and pistachios, so you have to watch out for him as well.
He just landed and he ran up and just started.
That's it.
Blasting
Just
away.
hello, blasting away. They're everywhere, these bards. So, the skyship docks. It is quite smooth, to be fair. Just as smooth as being on a ship in the water, a large one at least. The town is massive. Like the nation of Portomea, just flying over it as you were waiting to get to this, you noticed just how large it is. Thousands and thousands of miles, probably just the 1000s, of deserts and mountains, beautiful green oasis. The biggest thing that probably caught your eye, because it can be seen from miles away, is a great glass-esque sapphire pyramid that is thus far the largest and most awe-inspiring thing you've seen in your young adventuring lives. But it is far to the north from where you are now.
Oh, I see it on the map. That is awesome.
That is, yeah. So, as this bard is wandering past and starts laying out their best tunes for the day, you see a ochre-coloured skinned Goliath, known to a lot of people as mountain-born or stone-born, the Goliath race. They have dotted markings across their skin. Istari... Yes, Istari. You notice quite easily that the dots make up patterns of the various constellations of Colossus. They are far leaner than the stories may tell you about a person that is born of the mountains or born of stone. They're still as tall as the stories go, pushing maybe 6.5 feet. They're big, but very lean. Their fashion is of long flowing white and light blue robes. Their headscarf is held in place with a thin silver headband and a small green gemstone at its centre. The climate of Portomea is very, very... it's hot. Really hot. It's just hot. And you get this almost immediately, like being up in the air with the sky ship. As soon as it comes into dock, there's a very obvious change. And you can see most of the folk here are dressed for such a climate. Loose clothing, thin materials to cover their heads and such, keep the sun directly off them as best they can. This Goliath has a long curved blade that sits in a back sheath, just hanging by the hip behind them. Simple design, but looks well made. And they are quite clearly stood looking at the sky ship as the long planks are put out for you to walk onto the docking area of the town.
I would, if possible, like to say goodbye to our captain before we disembark. Just give a thanks for a safe docking and traveling here. Is there?
Usella gives
Is it
you.
possible?
Yeah. Usella is
Sweet.
Usella. She is just kind of stood there. She's leaning against a railing. Her crew are just rushing backwards and forwards. The majority of the crew are Genasi. They are of elemental bloodlines. There's a lot of air Genasi in the crew. She's quite known for being one of the only Earth Genasi that likes to be up in the sky. But she's kind of just leaning, watching everyone else. She's dressed in very simple clothing. She must have changed as you were approaching, being very aware of the climate. But it's very loose and just keeps... Her beard is very short to her face. She has no moustache. But she has like a stone short beard going on.
Okay. I would like to approach her and just, Captain, I don't know if we'll see you again, but I'd like to express my thank you very much, and I'll extend a hand as a handshake with a gold coin in it as a tip.
She will gladly take that, and she keeps onto your hand for just a little bit longer as an appreciation to take the gold coin. You are very welcome.
I wish you safe travels. Is there anything we should know before we disembark? Just local climate, obviously, something I'm not prepared for.
If you want a decent drink, go to the sand dune.
I appreciate that information. Thank you so much. And I'll just kind of nod and head towards the gangplank.
You just hear her kicking off with a couple of the air shower. You get back to work, and then just keeps leaning against the railing. She's a boss. She needs to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you announce yourself first, what do you look like?
So the first thing you would probably notice is that I am a fairly tall, 6'2" individual, dragonborn, green scales, that the horns that come off of my head are separated. They're not actually singularly attached as a horn. They have floating little segments of them. And you'll have noticed if you watch her for any length of time that she has a habit of like playing with her tail and wiggling the horns to like bobble the ends around a little bit.
Cool. So you make your way off the dock. You see this large Goliath, matching the description of Al Saroon, who sent out word looking for folk to help him with this incredible adventure of a lifetime, to go looking for, you know, the stars among us, and, you know, very hammed up. Yes, Katie, yes it is. Very hammed up sales pitch on the parchment that went around the various areas that you were in.
Okay.
And they're looking. You are very obvious. Like, you don't look like the rest of the crew, and you kind of stick out.
Yep. Is there anyone else coming down the gangplank after me? Looks like they may also be disembarking here.
That is up to our three adventurers.
I'll follow closely after you.
So, Starry, what do you look like?
Relatively tall elf, kind of shy. I probably look at my feet a lot, or I'm looking up at the sky. Super pale skin, purple hair, blue markings, purple lips. You know.
That you look like that.
I look like this.
What was your height?
My
How
height?
tall were you? Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 6'5" or something. I'm pretty tall.
Okay.
Normal elf, maybe slightly short for an elf, but yeah.
Depends on the elves.
Yeah.
I suppose.
So you do notice the Starry coming down the gangplank.
I'll extend general direction, welcoming greeting of, are you also looking for our Al-Sarun? Just looking for making a friend, because I am by myself in a strange place.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I would love to adventure with you. I overheard you talking to the captain, and I think a drink sounds great. If you'd like to go there or wherever, I'm down for whatever.
Lovely. I'll extend my hand. My name is Nim. Pleasure to meet you.
Hi, I'm Asturi. Nice to meet you.
All right.
So what do you two mischievous people?
I think we should find some food, Audrey. This is the most important thing.
Food is probably important, but so is making more money for more traveling. So,
Fine.
well, we may not need the money, but others do. So, and food also requires it.
That is true. As you two are walking down the gangplank having this conversation, Audrey, what do you look like?
Audrey is 4'3", and so nice juxtaposed to the rest of our party. The first thing you notice about Audrey is she is pixie-like, very slight built. Probably you would notice her vibrant red hair and her violet eyes next. She has kind of a peach-colored skin, and if you look closely, you'll notice little dewdrops on the end of her hair. But she also has a rusty-colored wolf walking next to her. And it sounds different than a regular wolf. There's no click of the claws on the gangplank. It is just kind of a rustle of leaves. But it's kind of rusty looking. And she keeps her hand on its side as they walk down the gangplank talking to Saskia.
Cool. Saskia, what do you look like?
I am all of 4'7". So, somewhere in the middle of everyone else. Reddish brown hair, light green eyes. Simple clothes, stuff for traveling. Nothing fancy. Mostly observant. I'm just looking around a lot, talking to Audrey, and that's about it. Nothing spectacular.
Cool. At the bottom of the gangplank, you see a dragonborn and a very tall elf interacting. You also see the description that matches Al Saroon of the Goliath stood maybe 25-30 feet away from Astari and Nim.
You know, you might be able to convince one of them to buy us lunch.
Well, if we see if they need help, they've been talking about helping this Al Saroon. 2 is a small number. It's safer in larger groups, you know.
Okay.
So, hello. You were looking for more who are here to help Al Saroon. I'm talking towards Astar. Nope, excuse me. Nim. I'm working on names.
I will hear a voice, look around, and then look down.
Down here!
Well, pleasure to meet you. Yes, I believe, and I'll look over towards the orc. I believe that gentleman matches the description. Are you here on the party or with the ship to help?
Yes, we came in with the ship.
You will have probably noticed each other from afar on the
Yes.
ship. It is a very large vessel. There is a lot of crew.
Okay.
A lot of the tourists are now getting off the ship with yourselves, and there are elves and dwarves and other natives to Portamere. So it wasn't just you four ignoring each other for 6 months.
Oh, 6 months! Wow!
Or however long.
I would just like to ask for your name again.
Mine?
Yeah,
Audrey.
Audrey. I am so sorry that I almost tripped over you about a week ago. That was really embarrassing for me. I'm a little klutzy
You're
sometimes.
fine.
I just. But nice to meet you. I would love to adventure with you here.
Well, why don't we
The
go
pleasure
see-
is ours, thank you. This is Saskia, by the way, as well.
Hello.
Oh.
And
Pleasure.
this is Terrace, and I pat my wolf companion.
As soon as you introduce Terrace, Nim is going to look at you, and you can see, like, wants to pet across the face. May I, please?
I
pet?
look over at Terrace, and it snorts. Yes, you can pet Terrace.
Okay. I'm going to crouch down very slowly so as not to intimidate and put out my hand gently for the
Give me-
sniff check.
Give me an animal handling check.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Oh, no. I rolled a nat 1.
Really? Wow. Is this the first? Okay. So
That's perfect.
Terrace is not overly keen on Nim's approach and will back off, hairs on the back, tail out, etc.
I will respect the distance being given and just maybe we can be friends later.
You might have to work on that.
You'll notice like the little bobbling bits above my head like sink closer together.
Oh,
Crestfallen.
that's awesome.
Alright, well, and flustered obviously, I think. Introductions aside, we should probably not block the gangplank for much longer. So I think we should make our way down.
So, if I skip over to you and take your hand and pat my head with it, is that good enough? Is it better?
As you do that, I'm not resisting. I'm just looking at you as if you were a very curious individual, and just like that. Yes, thank you.
Andrew's gonna reach forward. Saskia, that might not be normal cultural behavior.
There's a few people just staring at this moment. Just like,
Yep.
what is going on?
I'll
We were
pat
gonna
Audrey's
look for
head and then
food.
move
Oh
on.
no. Oh no.
Food.
It's fine.
Brilliant.
Okay, I'm going to turn in the general direction of this person who matches the description of Alceron.
Alceron is, like I said, 25, 30 feet away from you, kind of looking. Give me perception checks. All of you. All 4 of you.
Everyone?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
What do we roll for perception? Is it a d20?
Everything is a d20.
Everything is a d20.
Except damage. So if you're not rolling damage, it will be a d20 plus something. Hopefully
Perception,
plus.
it's wisdom.
So yeah, so there should be a skill that actually says perception. So druids, you might be proficient, so you might get a decent.
Wait, I'm sorry. Do I roll or do I just read you the number for my perception?
So you
thing?
roll a d20. So what does your perception say?
12.
So
Oh, that's your passive perception.
Yeah, that one.
yeah. So if you look at
Passive
your
perception is
skills,
what
no, look at your skills, and there should be a list of skills, and one of them will be perception.
You're going to want to basically roll a d20 and add your wisdom modifier.
Oh, okay. So my wisdom modifier is +4.
Yeah. So you would roll a d20 and add 4 to it. Your passive perception is something for me to use for you noticing things without a roll.
Okay, so I rolled a 12, so I add 4 to that.
Yeah, so 16 is your total. Audrey?
12.
Nim?
22.
Jeez.
You're a cleric, yeah. Saskia?
Ish, I don't know if we wrote down the perception.
It would just be your d20 plus your wisdom modifier. Your wisdom modifier is a +4.
Oh, okay.
Paper.
That's fine.
So it's whatever I rolled +4.
Yes.
17.
Cool. So, everyone except Audrey.
That's fine.
You notice a couple of things. One, that the person described as Alceron is paying attention to Istari more than the other folk that are getting off the skyship. And there is someone about 10 feet back from Alceron who is short, broad, covered in the fashion of Portamere, in reds and golds. They look very wealthy. They look dwarven in appearance. They have a very thin beard that is to their jawline and around the lip and such. Very like that curly musketeer sort of thing going on. I should probably get a thesaurus out. But their hair is pulled back and slick. And they look wealthy. They have an air of nobility about them, but not necessarily aren't noble. Like if you have the money, you can be anything. So, but Audrey, you spot the clouds.
I'm comforting Terrace and looking at the clouds.
Yeah, Terrace is definitely taking your attention. Not happy with the Emerald Dragonborn still 5 feet away.
Still dejected.
Yeah. So yes, so you turn to Alceron. Nim, did you say? Was it Nim? He's 30. Do you walk over? Or you just turn like you've turned to him? Are you
Gonna turn, kind of do a scan, look around, make sure like there's no imminent danger, like carts. Don't want to get run over as soon as I get off the ship, and then head over that direction. You at this point you'd probably hear the clanking, by the way, because I'm wearing plate armor.
That's definitely an important feature.
Yeah. I figure you should know that.
What I forgot to say is where the dock area is a neutral district to the main 4 districts of the town.
Okay.
Alceron is very interested in the large plate wearing Dragonborn coming towards him. So he takes his attention from Astari to you as you approach, and does like a half bow, and then stands back up and he touches his forehead and puts his hand out towards you.
I will repeat the gesture in kind.
Welcome. I don't suppose you're here to answer. And he pulls out a bit of parchment that's the exact-ish copy of the parchment that you saw that you picked up a few months ago and decided, I'll have a go at that.
I'll pull out mine and just be like, this? Yes, indeed we are.
Good. Do you come alone, or do you come with a great order of Dragonborn to help me on this?
I travel by myself, but I have met some companions on the way, and I'll kind of look back towards the other 3 that I've run into.
Oh, you
I
travel.
would like to have been walking behind the Dragonborn to sort of keep myself hidden from everyone else. She's huge and useful.
This is true.
Yeah, I'm kind of shyly following behind, like
Yeah, 6'5".
thinking like, should I follow her? Like, are we really doing this, or what am I doing?
2 tall people to hide under. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm staying close to Saskia.
So as the really tall elf and massive dragonborn approach, and the 2 smaller behind. Is this your order?
I am currently traveling. I'm not with my order specifically. I thought traveling would help me gain new understanding and depth of my faith. So I hope that's not a problem.
What's your holy symbol?
So my holy symbol is an anvil, and like sparks flashing off of it.
Cool. Yes, I am writing that down. He stares at your holy symbol for a moment, and you can see that he's unaware of its origins or such, but recognises you as a religious warrior. The plate armour is a little bit of a giveaway. Are these your travelling companions? Just gestures to...
For now, as long as they'll have me, I'll just kind of look back at them like, come on, guys!
He does the same half
yes.
bow and touches his forehead to you all as you appear.
I'm gonna awkwardly try and mimic the same. Maybe not so awkwardly. I have a +1 to charisma.
Oh, that's good. Starry, do you do the gesture back?
Sure, yeah, I'll try.
I mean, you don't have to. Just and Saskia, do you? Or are you?
In a very flourishing way, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Theatrically. Very theatrically. But also, while I do that, I'd like to get Audrey with a tap and head bob towards Rich Homie, because Audrey's not paying attention.
I will do a perception check if I may.
You can have it at advantage, seeing as Saskia's helping.
As subtly as possible, I'd like to see if there's anything noticeable that's loose on said person.
Is this Al-Sarun or the dwarf behind?
The dwarf behind.
Okay. I mean, you can roll
If I can
Al-Sarun
do
if
it
you want.
subtly.
Yep. So
Yeah.
give me your perception at advantage first.
At advantage. That's a 16.
So, other than the glaringly obvious that they've got rings, jeweled rings on their fingers and jeweled chains around their neck, the only other thing that they seem to be a little bit guarded about is a small charm that sits right on their throat, whereas everything else kind of loose and hanging. This sits right on their throat, but every now and then you can see they kind of just check that it's still there.
Okay.
Everything else.
That's all for now.
Yep. Cool. Whilst he sleeps.
Just taking notes, that's all.
Just checking it out.
So, first adventure, heist.
You thought we had a direction here.
Sandbox is yours. Colossus, go nuts.
Alright, I would like to continue the conversation with Al-Saran. I understand there was a calling. Is there any more information that has risen up since we've been around? Have any other groups gone out? Is there some place directionally we're supposed to go? I'm being oblivious to them.
Well, I'm just gathering adventurers at the moment, but over the next couple of days there should be more and more of you coming in, hopefully. More eyes the better and such. But there are a couple of groups that have gone out already, but I don't fancy their chances. They are in furs and such and are heading out into the deserts. They claim they will be fine, but they don't look dressed for the job. But yes, but they're the only ones that have gone out so far. I don't believe. Yes. So, and he starts walking around in a circle, completely oblivious to you lot there. Now you've asked him questions. You've set him off, and he's kind of going through a to-do list, and you can see he's adding more stuff to his to-do list, and just in the air pointing and going, "Oh yes." And then every now and then you hear a mumble of, "Maybe we should see a wizard," and then he mumbles to himself a little bit. By any chance, have you eaten or drunk in the last couple of days? We can sit and drink, or just while I gather my thoughts.
I heard there was a place called the Sand Dune. Is that a place you're familiar with?
Yes, there are several sand dunes around here. They thought it was clever for the tourists. My camera's gone out of focus, so I'm gonna... Oh, and Alsa runs back. There you go. So, but yes, I do know of a sand dune that we can drink, and my treat, obviously. And then I can get to know you all a bit better, and hopefully more will join us, and we will have a grand expedition to put together.
That sounds like a fine idea to me. Are you all acceptable to having some food and nutrition?
I am so over the ship food. Please, let's go.
Ship?
Is that included in the job? Food and board.
Oh yes, it will all be covered.
Excellent. Yes. Let's go then.
Oh, okay. This way, and he just walks off. And every now and then he's constantly checking over his shoulder to see. Those of you that are aware of the dwarf, and Audrey as well now, you notice that the dwarf eyeballs Alsa run all the way, walking past, and into a more market square area, and you can see several buildings that are half canvas, half sandstone, sort of. It's like they started building with actual permanent structures in mind, but then it got too hot, so they just strapped canvas to the side of it. And they kind of built this neutral district in this same sort of way. Beyond that, you can see that there's a bit more effort put into the districts, and there's almost branding going on in the other districts for those that are into their alchemy or astrology and such. And the buildings are taller, and you can see towers that would be, better used to look skyward. And every now and then you see puffs of different coloured smoke coming from districts off to the side. There's quite a lot going on past this immediate market square, and it's noisy and colourful and busy. But the immediate market square in front of you, and you do now notice 4 or 5 buildings that all have the Sand Dune Tavern or the Sand Dune Inn on them. And
Nice.
Alceron just seems to... it's a very lazy town. The Alceron seems to have one in mind and goes straight for one of the Sand Dune Inns.
Does the dwarf come with?
Does not come with, but does not take their eyes off Alceron all the way. Alceron gets to the...
Do we
Go.
pass by the dwarf very closely?
A little close-ish. How close are you wanting? Like, are you bump into and rob close?
Could I bump into them? Yeah. Could I
Yeah, if you
accidentally bump into them?
it's pretty crowded.
Let's
You're
do
at a busy dock area. Like, there's sky ships and sea ships. There's a lot of people getting off and getting on, so it is busy. Yeah, you can bump into them. Are you trying to?
I don't want to take anything. I just want to see how much attention they pay when I bump into them.
Okay, so you bump into them. They don't really react. They kind of just. Obviously you bump into them. However, give me a perception check when you bump into them.
Okay. Seven. 7 and then I have 4, so
11.
13? No, 11? Yeah, I can't
So
do
yeah,
math.
so
11.
you bump into them, and they obviously take the bump, and then they just look down at you and step back. I mean, they're only a little bit taller than you, but
So sorry. Do apologize and pat them and then keep moving.
don't let it happen again. And he kind of just steps a little bit further back, and he's now looking for where Alceron went.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab Saskia by the arm as we're going in. It's like, maybe too soon, we just got here. Remember the
I
last
just
chap.
lost my balance.
Covered in gold.
Okay.
With the
Let me know
distraction
when you're
of
gonna
him.
lose your balance again.
With the distraction of him being bumped into, I would like to kind of interpose myself between his line of sight and where Alceron is, as much as reasonably possible, while following him through a busy market, knowing I'm not going to hide him. I'm a big dragon, like I can do that.
This is true.
Dragonborn. Yeah.
Insert
Just
wall.
like- Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so anything else you want to bump into, Saskia? Or are you good to go to?
Not yet.
Cool.
I'll let you know. I might find something.
I've got a feeling that
quick.
question's going to get asked a lot. So, so making it across to the Sandy Dune Inn, or at least the one that Alceron has took you to. He is stood at the door and he holds it open very polite, as if there's an etiquette to it, and he stands straight and he's very, like, welcome to the Sandy Dune. And there's a very potent smell of a spiced drink that everyone seems to be drinking.
Okay. I'll kind of follow Alceron's lead if he's heading over to the bar.
He stands at the door, opening it for you all to come in.
Okay.
I'm gonna pause at the door, look up at Elsaroon. Are pets welcome in here?
If they're part of your party, and he just taps his nose.
All right, fair enough. And I motion Terrace to stay right on my heels.
Terrace is still eyeballing the Dragonborn.
If we pass by one of these spiced drinks, can I lean in and sniff it?
You can. I mean, you're the right height of the table. So as you go in there, there are maybe 10 tables in here, quite crammed together. There is a lot of thin sheets kind of hanging from the ceilings and such to give they claim a breeze. But as you kind of walk through them and stuff, you get the first table you'll come across. There are two heavy set sailor types, probably straight off a sea ship rather than one of the sky ships. Well, yours is the only sky ship that docked here. And they're just stereotypical. They're in their dock clothing that they probably just put on that doesn't stink of months and months out at sea, and they're just out for just chilling out and getting a drink. But they do have these clay pots, these mugs, and even approaching it, your sense of smell is very keen to this. It's just got this strong spice to it, a peppery smell.
If he's holding one, I'd basically like to lean in, sniff it, and then eyebrow at him and keep walking. That's about my plan.
They just watch you, both of them, just watch you walk on, and then they start sniffing it, as if. What does she know that we don't? Once you are all in, Alceron will follow up. If you grab a table, they only sell the one thing here, but I can get the round in for now, and we can all talk. Unless you might have a better job at getting to the bar and just kind of eyeballs the width of your shoulder.
Is it a lot of patrons right at the bar?
It's not packed, but it's busy. So you would eventually get to the bar, but if you really wanted to, show off, you could definitely.
I'll look at Istari, and if you'd be so kind as to grab us a table, I will go with Alceron to make sure that he has enough hands for the drinks. And basically, I will just be the big shadow behind him to clear.
Yeah.
I'll go.
Okay.
I'll go grab us a table, but before you head off with him, I would just like to say I thought there was food here also, and not just drinks. So I'm a little visibly annoyed, but I'm just I'm trying to hold it inside.
He turns. We have to send out for food. There are other, they have runners that will bring the food to us. They just don't sell it themselves because my apologies. And he does the bow again, but we can have food arranged. It's perfectly fine.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Now
I'm more happily go and grab a table.
Yeah. Don't Eldritch blast him in the pub. So you as you go over to the tables, like I said, there's about 10 tables in here. The first obvious 9 of them are just people, whether they're sharing it or they're there together. It's quite packed. But there is a single table with a single gnome sat at it. He is topless. He's got loose trousers on. He's got a couple of tattoos. There is one of just a single star on his chest. He's got no hair. He's got a little beard that just does this down his chin, and looks maybe 80 to 100 years old. Little wiry gnome just sat there, just drinking this spice pot. But there's plenty of seats at the table.
Well, hello. Maybe join you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll
I
sit
applaud.
down, but I'm obviously a little uncomfortable. But you can tell I'm secretly hoping he like goes and moves to a different table. But I'm trying to be nice.
Just
I'll ask
stare
him
at
how
it.
his day is going.
He takes a drink, looks at you, takes another drink. It's alright. How's your day?
It's been good. We just got off the ship and I'm getting a drink now. I heard they had good spiced stuff here, so yeah.
I'd like to scooch in a little closer to your character. Just a little closer.
That's
Good
okay.
story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm just scooching in closer to her.
I'll give you a pat this time.
Yeah. He looks at you both. Takes another drink. And just turns and walks away from the table.
I'm gonna pull a chair up next. Saskia. Just sit down next to Saskia, so
Cool.
it's tall, shorter.
Just, I love it. As you, so you free take your seat. You're heading towards the bar now. Alceron just keeps checking, and he's very apologetic to everyone that gets out of the way because you're stood there. At first, he doesn't click. He's a bit confused as to why people are moving, and then he catches on, and then kind of just struts with it. And you can see a little cheesy smile on his face as he's enjoying the moment. Gets to the bar. The youngster behind the bar immediately just puts pots, these clay mugs, on the table and starts from a jug, filling them with this spiced drink. And Alceron is like, just five, and he stops at 5 and pushes them over to you. He picks up a tray, starts heading towards the table. He's just assuming you're following.
Okay. Quick sidebar with
Yep.
Alceron. How do we acquire food? Do we talk at the bar, or is there a runner in the bar that we talk to?
Both can be done. And he points down to the end of the bar, and there's like a couple of young'uns that are just taking orders off people and then disappearing out of the tavern. And then you notice that they're coming. There's a couple already there with food.
Okay. I'll make a swing down there and just put it in order for us, if that's acceptable.
Yes, just give them this, and he gives you a little wooden token, and there is it's like a hoodless cloak sort of symbol on the wooden token. Just give my name and this, and they'll know to bill me.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. I'll give him the half bow again and make my way over to those kids.
Yeah. So, just for Dragonborn, they are not necessarily rare, but they're quite, or the stories say they're quite insular and stay far in the northeast. So to see them out and about, it's not like whoa, but there is an element of Dragonborn.
Okay, fair.
The kids have a bit more of a wow factor as you approach, but they stop what they're doing and see this plate armoured, emerald scaled, floating horns warrior of the anvil coming towards them. Hello?
As I approach, I'm going to. Are they short, like very short in comparison to me, or are they about average height? Basically, I don't want to intimidate
They
them.
range from maybe 6 years old to young teen. There's a vast range of them. The teens are probably more fearful of you than the nippers. They're just like, wow, a giant
I'll pause a little
lizard.
bit back from them, kind of make sure I have some room and kneel down so I'm more on eye level.
Yep.
And I'll hold up the coin and say, Alceron sent me to get food for our table, and I'll point to our group. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. Yeah, with Alceron eating. Sure. 4, 5. I can't talk. It's 5 of us. I was counting the dog.
So it's total.
I was counting the dog. Here, I'm gonna go
dog?
with it. We're gonna go with it.
Dog
I'm counting the dog.
So the young girl is kind of stood staring at you as you reel off 12 different numbers. I'll just what would you like? Just meat? Just just meat.
I didn't know there were options. There was only one at the bar. What are the options?
Well, there's fruits and there's a lot of meat and fruit.
Meat and fruit sounds wonderful. Thank you.
I'm on it. And Alsa run, yeah. And she looks at the token for a little bit. She's about 7 or 8. Okay, I'll bring it. I have to bring it here though, and then you have to come and get it. I'm not allowed to walk through.
Okay, of course. Thank you.
Who? Do I just shout Alsa run, or do I use your name to call
Just
you
call
over?
for Nim. Just
Nim.
call for Nim.
Okay. Okay. Bye. And she just does one out the pub tavern.
I'll make my way to the table and keep an eye on the door for when she comes back.
Lovely. Alsaron and Nim return to the table and they put down your spice drinks in front of you. He takes a long drink of his, and to him it's refreshing. To yourselves, it probably takes a bit more getting used to be refreshing, but it's flavoursome. It's got a peppered spice to it, but it is quite tasty. Unless you've decided your character is highly allergic to pepper, at which point let's roll some dice. But it's very niche. But yes, so you're at the table with Alsaron. You have a drink. You're awaiting food. It is early morning when you arrived on the skyship. So now, I believe you must be a starry. And he obviously looks at you.
Yeah, how do you know my name?
Less knowing your name. Well, so the astrologers, they are divine. They're diviners or diviners. They always tell me I'm getting it wrong, but they told me that an elf of the stars would arrive. They were called Starry, and it just seems a little bit coincidental that you're on the ship and walking off on the same day that I was here. So I have made an assumption. If I am wrong, I apologise, but you kind of fit wizards and their fortune telling. But welcome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that is actually me. I guess I'm impressed they saw me coming, even though I didn't really realize I had much of a purpose here, but cool. Maybe we should go say hi to them sometime. I don't know.
Well, we can, we have a couple of days. We can walk the town while I am attacked by moths. We can, there's loads of moths in there, Portamy. Yeah, the town is, there's no restrictions to yourselves. There's no, well, it's open doors. So you have the town to explore. Looks at Saskia. More bumping into people. But yes, if you have questions, great. I will answer them as best I can. If you just want freedom to do as you wish for, maybe 2 days before I need to gather the expedition together and before we set out into the sands. It's going to be so exciting.
Nim grabs her tail and twiddles at the end of it. You can tell she's like trying to give the rest of the group a turn to talk before she jumps in with questions.
You said we. Does that mean you as well, Alsaroon?
Yes, I'll be going. Not much for staying in the towns and such. Like to be, sand beneath the toes and such, and out there under the stars rather than nose in the books. And how often do you get to see a fallen star in the flesh? And he looks a little bit confused.
I'm very excited for that.
Good.
I was curious if the astrologers, what did they say about me? Just that I was coming, or did they say nice things? Did they say bad things?
Well, it's not an exact sign. Well, it might be to them, but it's not to me. I was just made aware that you were arriving or would be here in the time parallel to this star falling. So, well, here you are. So that might be a nice thing. I don't know. Are you glad to be here? Kind of just sips at their spice drink.
I mean, I guess I'm excited to go check it out. I didn't really hear of that or anything on my way. I was just drawn to come here, so.
Well, we'll see. We shall see on the expedition.
For sure. Take a sip of my spice tea, feeling a bit awkward and weird and kind of confused, but like, okay.
Yeah.
So, Nim is fiddling with her tail, yes?
Yes.
So I can sort of stand up and
Yes.
put my hands behind my back and wander over to Nim. And just kind of stare at her tail for a minute. And then look at the baubles on her head and stare at her tail for a minute. And then just pet her tail. That's all.
Going to just very gently pull my tail closer across my lap. Little one, we normally ask before we pet other people or tails.
Oh, I'm sorry. It seemed that it kept you very entertained. So I was just curious.
And you'll see, like, Nim didn't even realize she was playing with her tail. And it's a bit of a nervous habit, and she'll like kind of tuck the tail up behind her, like put it away.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I was just curious. Does it feel nice?
I assume it's close to petting your own leg, or like fiddling your fingers, like just a twiddling your fingers while you're distracted. Yes, that. I think it serves the same purpose.
I see. Are you nervous?
More of trying not to step on people's toes that I don't quite know yet.
Is that what I just did?
That was a tail, my friend.
Oh, yes. Same difference, though, yes. I'm gonna go sit down. I was just curious.
You're quite all right. The curiosity is appreciated.
While she comes back to sit down, I'm gonna sit a little taller in my chair and kind of like put my hair over my ears and hope she does not touch them or think about touching them.
I just cocked my head at her. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Back away from the ears.
I'm just gonna drink some more of this spice.
Yeah. So, the young girl returns with your meat and fruit.
I'll go pick up the order.
It's a lot of peach from the looks of it, and the meat you're unsure of, but tucking into it is quite nice. Again, spicy, peppery. Not a lot of it. The drinks are far more spicy. And she gives you the wooden token back of Alcerum.
Okay. I'll nod my head, give her the. Does she do any like gestures of greeting or any of that he did, or no?
She does no etiquette whatsoever. She's just full
Cool.
on like, doing my job. Thank you very much.
I'll just do the half bow, take the plate, and head back then.
She goes beetroot, like you see her cheeks redden as you do the bow. Under attack.
Interesting. Note that down.
So, you
You're
got your fruit.
experimenting with children.
As
I'll
soon as
edit
the
that out.
food is hovering over the table, I like just go and grab a piece and shove it in my mouth very happily. Not
I
super
will-
rude. I just am like really hungry.
I'll take-
Yeah.
With my mouth full, I'm like, thank you.
As I get to the table, I'll take a serving of the meat off and bring it over towards Audrey, and kind of hand it towards her. Like, I don't know if your dog eats meat or more fruit, but I'm sorry I offended them earlier.
You just hear her growling.
I'll just kind of like wait.
Sure, I'll take a small piece off of that. Terrace will probably try some of it.
Terrace
And,
has a sniff. The meat's alright, but not so keen on the peach.
Fair enough.
And stays very close to you, Audrey. Like, Terence is in guard mode at the minute while this enormous dragonborn is still around.
I'll back off, noticing I'm making Terrence uncomfortable.
Can't roll a nat 1 and then think you can feed your way out of it.
I was hoping! Bribery!
This is for life now.
Oh no.
Terrence would never like me.
Okay.
I'll scooch a little further over on the seat away from Terrence, kind of nervous, like, ugh.
Don't say.
But
So,
he's cute and I want to give him a pat.
Goodest boy, just protecting owner. Mm-hmm.
So you have food, you have drink. Also,
As
You
a-
go on.
have very pretty ears. You don't have to hide them. And then I'll grab a peach.
Alceron touches his ears. Thank you.
As the chatter quiets down, people eating, I'm going to look over at Alceron. You'd mentioned that we would have a place to stay while we were here. I was wondering, are there places that we can shop for clothing, make sure we're properly outfitted, make sure, like, is that something the caravan's providing? Do we have to provide our own?
Well, the short answer is yes to all of it. If you wish to peruse the market square, then please do it again. And he pushes the wooden token back over to you. Take this with you. Give my name. Show the token, then they can send me a bill. Please, just if it's necessary, then buy it. Maybe a little bit of wheeler, but please don't go crazy with my
Fair.
coinage. But yes, you can buy and prepare yourselves. I don't know if if you've any experience in the desert heat and such, but it can be quite aggressive. Somewhere to stay, yes, for the next couple of nights. You can have the Winding Storm. They're very imaginative. Or the Marble. So there's the two places I have rooms in for the expedition.
For player's sake of not getting confused, I would say the Marble because Winding Storm is close to the ship name, and I don't want to get mixed up.
No worries.
Good with that.
Yeah, the Marble is plenty of spaces for the expedition and such. All four of you stay together, or as in you're a party? Yes, you are a company. You are a. I know it's not your
I
order,
scooch
but
into Audrey at this point.
I see no reason not to for now.
I mean, you can
I
have a room
guess.
each if you want. I mean, even the young wolf can have their own room if they so wish.
Terrace is gonna get spoiled.
Yeah. You can get that Alceron is carrying on the facade of being part of the party and therefore not a pet.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, if you just stay them again, show the token, they will give you keys to your room. Hopefully we should have quite the number before we leave.
Am I getting the sense that he is like representing a bigger part of this community with that token getting us as much as it is?
Give me an insight check.
It's a good
Where's my
question.
insight?
It is a good question.
Dirty 20.
Well, I'll have to come up with an answer now. There is definitely a feeling of representation, and he
Okay.
is at least trying to portray that he is quite high up in that representation. But you do get a feeling that there's a little bit of when a kid's naughty behind his eyes every time he passes the token to you.
Ah, interesting. All right. After he
I-
hands. Okay. No. You ask your thing. I've got another
Oh.
question for him later.
I was just gonna kindly ask, why is he paying for everything? Like I've brought a little bit of money and I feel kind of bad, and that's a nice gesture.
Well, the expedition is sponsored, so we have a pot of gold, as it was, to use for resources such as folk like yourself that can lend aid to the caravan if it was dreams forbid, but attacked. But it is dangerous out in the sands, and we're hoping to have folks from all over to protect us in such a way. So we feel the need that they should be paid for in these ways. And he just kind of sits upright again, thinking he's answered it perfectly clear.
So I can get more peaches.
Yes, if that is a requirement, we can get you as many peaches as you want.
Yeah.
Just
D&D at its best. Give me the peaches.
I might take one more.
Yeah.
All right, my next question for Alceron is, and I'm going to lean over, not as unintimidatingly as possible, but just quietly, so it's not loud to other people. Our group can hear, but I don't want like the room to hear.
Okay.
I've noticed that you had someone watching you in the market as we came in. Are there people that we should be aware of knowing our alliance with you? And is this new information for you?
There is competition for the expedition. Other expeditions will be going out. If a fallen star is a very valuable asset, especially amongst the astrologers, and well, essentially they will pay whoever brings it first. So, but yes, I am aware there are folk watching me. I'm not aware of who at all the time, but it does not surprise me. But this is why hopefully you're not, trying to stab me in my back.
Fair.
But thank you.
Is this something we should be aware of? As in, do we need to guard who we show this token to?
Yes and no. Showing the token shows who. If you are a very powerful warrior of your order and you show the token, then people will think twice about interfering with our expedition. But if you are less of a powerful warrior, they might think it is an opportunity. So I would say use your own judgment.
Appreciate the honesty.
And thank you for yours. And he touches his forehead again and gestures to you.
I'll just kind of do a half head bob. As he does that, I'll let him finish and I do the half head bob back. I am ignorant of the culture. I was wondering the significance of that gesture. I was assuming that it was a simple greeting, but I am beginning to suspect it may be more.
Portamere is adjacent to the dream realm. It is a common. Children are taught it from very young. It is more a superstitious tradition, I would say. Some would argue otherwise, but more to hope you have sweet dreams. Just touching your forehead. It's again a superstitious tradition, but
As he says it's superstitious, I'll kind of touch my holy symbol. I'll be like, not all things that are believed by everybody, and those beliefs can give power regardless. I appreciate the sentiment.
Well, there you go.
If I may ask,
Yes.
how large a party are you hoping to gather? You said 2 days is our leave point?
Yes, so I already have maybe a dozen waiting. They are currently out in town doing whatever they are doing. Yourselves, so maybe another half dozen, maybe, if I'm really lucky, a full. But there is another ship in tomorrow that may or may not have folks answering, but they also may be answering other expeditions' calls. But I'd like a good 30. And that's obviously we have folk to tend the caravans, and it is well, there's a lot of us. It's sorry to repeat, but it's a fallen star, and
It's pretty exciting news, especially when you have a whole section of your city dedicated to that research.
Yes, very much so. There is only one other recording of a fallen star in Colossus history, and well, those in Ravenholm have it miles away from here. But they are able to create such things as soul forged, that are souls in a vessel of wood, metal, and magic.
That seems impressive. Is that the power from the fallen star?
I am not a complete historian, but the stories are that they have a gauntlet that their smith. It is a specialised craft, but they use this gauntlet made from the original fallen star, and they use it to forge a soul in I'm unaware of the method, but it is impressive. Anyway, I try to explain it, but if Portamia gets a fallen star, or at least, I mean, I'm happy for anyone to get it, and you know it. You all know he's lying when he says that. There's no insight check needed. As soon as he says, "I'm happy for anyone to get it," as long as it's us, then the things we could do to, especially the astrologers, and he looks at Astari and then back to the rest of you, especially we could reach. The constellations are the birth of Colossus. To have a connection is mind-blowing.
I appreciate the information. Thank you for sharing so honestly with us.
If you get your 30 individuals earlier, will you leave earlier than 2 days? Or is that your set time? And do the other caravans know that that's your set time?
It is our set time for preparation of the caravans. The people, essentially, if only 5 people turn up, then 5 would have been what I ventured out with. But luckily, we are, not 5. But that is the time we will be leaving. So it is morning now, so it will be 2 mornings from now we shall leave.
And where do you wish to meet us?
As we start to speak in unison,
Never done that before, have you?
Nim will stop and just look at the little one next to them. Just kind of let them go.
Looks back at Audrey. You were saying?
Where would you like to meet?
Well, here the caravan will be just outside, and he gestures out of the bar area. You can't see; he's just gesturing. But where the ships were docked, you can see that there is a long, path, just well-trodden path rather than manufactured, that leads out east of the town. There is a stables of sorts down there where it's very large. The caravans will be there. Maybe other expeditions setting out at the same time. As I said, I know others have gone earlier, but yes.
So that is what you're meaning. They're not prepared for it.
Yes.
Okay.
So I do have other things to tend to make sure preparations are ready and such, but as I say, keep the token, give my name when you show it, and you should be able to get as many peaches as you wish, but yes, if you do need to get hold of me, are any of you magically inclined?
Yes.
Mildly.
You can activate the token to send me a message of only a few words or so, but if you just give me a meeting place or such, I can make time to
We
come to you.
appreciate the time you've given to us.
It's appreciated that you've travelled so far to make history. And he looks very happy with himself. And the Goliath stands up from the table, raises his pepper drink to you all, finishes it, puts it back down. Hopefully I shall see you all soon.
Thank
Good
you.
day to you.
And he potters out the building. And you 4 are left at the table. You notice the gnome from earlier just raise a cup. But doesn't reapproach the table.
I'll wave at the gnome. Nice little gnome.
I'll kind of look at the rest of the group. So we have a couple days. Are we amenable to staying and working together during this time?
I'll look at Audrey.
We may have to discuss things a little bit more. Shoot, I lost your character name. Give me a moment, Missy.
Saskia.
Saskia, thank you. We may have to discuss it a little bit more, but I think at the moment, and correct me if I'm wrong, this aligns with what we're interested in doing. So, exploring and seeing more of the world.
Be interesting. It could be interesting.
Okay. Yes, that sounds for now like a good thing to do. Do we wish to... I don't wish to take advantage of his hospitality with the token, but I'm not going to shun its use either. Because we should definitely take the gifts when needed, but maybe not overuse it.
I
I
just
agree.
I just realized none of us asked what the pay was for this.
Mm-hmm.
Was it mentioned anywhere on the board notification job qualification thing?
Rewarded beyond your wildest dreams was on the parchment.
Cool. Cool.
Hmm.
None of us
For money?
clarified.
I did
It-
specify that room and board were included.
And
So
pictures.
at the very least we'll get that. Yep.
I'm assuming he left the token on the table, maybe, or like handed it to me. I was just gonna.
It was.
It was returned to me
yeah, it
from
was
the
pushed.
kid.
It
Oh,
was-
okay, so you have it. Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
so Nim still has the token.
So, where'd you put the token? Because I feel like we need to make sure that's in a safe space. I just met you, you know. I'm not. I don't want to point a finger. I'm just. Do you carry a little satchel with you that no one can like pickpocket from? I guess is all
Yes,
in.
please show us where you're keeping this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a place I can put it that is safe. If you don't trust me, that is up to you. I will leave it to the party.
Well, it's more
where
if
is-
anything could happen, really. I mean, what if something would happen?
I would
wanna know
like
the
to see if I can see where she put it on her person.
Are you hiding it, Nim?
I would have just put it like there are a couple small pocket places I would have had like on myself,
Yep.
I'm sure. Since it's a token, I probably would have just tucked it into like an upper higher one that would be harder for short people to get to, like that I can guard better against being pickpocketed.
But you haven't.
I am not dumb! I promise!
But you haven't hidden it. You just put it in one of
No,
these.
I just
okay.
put it in one of these pockets.
Okay.
Yeah, you are.
Twice
you
my
can
height
say-
above me.
Yeah. I mean, it'll
Fine.
take some effort, but you know where it is.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. I think that's fine as long as it's still there and we're, keeping track of it. It's okay.
Fair.
Where have you put the credit card? Where's the?
With that said, I am unsure how plate armor does in the desert. Is there any equipment that you all need before we go?
We
Already.
should
And
probably.
And DM question, is plate armor like real bad to go in the desert? Do I know this?
I was about to say you are feeling the heat.
Yep.
It's a little bit
Shoot.
toasty.
Okay.
Is studded leather also going to cause issues?
I mean, it'll warm up pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it works is if you are exerting yourself in extreme conditions, then there's a possibility of the status effect of exhaustion, which affects your stats. If you are just travelling, it is assumed that mighty adventurers know how to deal with such things. So if you are spending a lot of time, if you go running through the desert in your plate armor, it's going to work. If but it's, I'd like to say common sense, but we're all adults.
Would draping cloth over the plate armor help reduce the heat that it would be absorbing from the sun and make it cooler to wear?
It would
Not
help.
not saying it would mitigate, just
It would help. Again, it's levels of exertion.
Mhm.
There's a difference between a 6-second fight and a 3-hour fight in plate armor. So
Okay.
yeah. So if you are just casually wearing it, or maybe you can role play the fact that you're not wearing all of it, but just enough of it that it would protect you, and you could that I'll allow that sort of freedom around that. But
Okay.
if you exert yourself in extreme conditions, cold, heat, etc., then you might have to start rolling dice and not die.
I would like to look for some other options than just straight plate armor. And if I don't find good ones, I'll just find myself a cloth.
Yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
I myself don't feel comfortable talking to the group as my character can. In full plate armor, I'm thinking maybe we should do at least a scouting trip to see what's available here. Does
That
anyone
seems
else
fair.
need gear?
Yes, and Terrace will probably need, you said, a cloth covering. That sounds like a good option. Shade cloth is a good thing.
I will finish my food, not rapidly, but faster than I would if I was planning on staying here for a couple hours.
Okay. So you've all. We'll get to a point where you've all eaten and drunk your fill, and as many peaches as a starry wishes is brought over by the children that are doing the peach runs. You've just got a sack of peaches now, but you have freedom to do as you wish, and by freedom I mean literally whatever you four wish to do, together, apart, etc., is entirely up to yourselves.
Ooh. Maybe we should also figure out where the Marble Inn is. That might be wise.
I think we should go there first, maybe, and like grab a room so they don't sell out or whatever, unless we already like have one on hold with the token.
I get the feeling that he might be overextending on his capabilities with this token, so I think we should go check into that room.
That
Okay.
sounds good, because I'd like to make sure we have a place to sleep tonight.
Fair. Are you two agreeable to this? Looking down to both Saskia.
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 Sausage.
Yeah, for Audrey. Thanks for the name, Misty. I'm working on it.
I'll play you the song. Maybe that'll help.
Sure. That sounds agreeable. We can store some of our traveling gear and then not have our stuff with us when we're in the market.
If we can trust the rooms, let's go take a peek at how they look.
So you leave the Sandy Jew, or the Sand Jew?
I would try and get some information from either a kid or a bartender if they looked like they had a second.
They are. It is a very brief conversation. They get asked a lot, and as soon as you start the sentence, they are already aware of, your attire and such. And it is only a few buildings away from where you are now, but on the other side of the main market when you walk outside. The market itself is completely filled with bazaar type style. The marble. If you look out the door once you've been given directions, there is less canvas on it and more of a solid structure. And there is just a spherical. There is a stone sphere, and it's got a paint job on it to give it a marbled look rather than actually marble itself.
Fair. As we're heading there, I'll look towards the group. I am comfortable sharing a room with others. What are your guys' feelings? And I'll just like look at the dog and like still giving space, but like
Looks back up at you.
Again, I just scoot in close to Audrey.
Terrace has obsidian eyes, by the way. So, yeah, obsidian chips for eyes. So you're getting looked at by these stone eyes.
This is an horrendous creature. Stay away from it.
A little
Noted.
bit. Yes, I think if we wish to buy more things with the token as a way to barter down the prices, maybe. But if we want to use it for money, maybe all four of us in one room for 5. Or if we're not going to use it for money and we're going to use our own, then 2 rooms.
I don't feel like all of those are mutually exclusive. But
No, they're
if
not.
that is what you're comfortable with. Istari, do you have any strong feelings on this?
I guess I'm down for whatever. I agree with both points. As long as I have my space, I'm okay.
Why don't we see how big the rooms are and what the sleeping arrangements are like?
That is
Yeah.
a very wise thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Head on over to the marble.
Yes, we'll ask. On our way out of the tavern thing, I'd just like to wave goodbye to the gnome who moved from the table for us. I don't know if we
Me
pass
too.
him closely or
Me too.
not.
I mean, you're tall enough that you can see where the gnome's sat. You can see that he's sat with more folks at another table. That he kind of just, as soon as somebody at 3-second rule left their seat, he were on it. But he awkwardly like waves back and then looks back at the table.
I'm just gonna look down at my feet as I walk out then, because I was a little awkward. I was just trying to be nice and say like, "Oh, thank you" on the way out, but
When
Cool.
we get to the, sorry,
That's right. I was just saying, cool.
when we get to the marble, Audrey would like to stay outside. If Saskia will go in and make sure it will be suitable for us. I would like to just people watch, see what's going on in the market, see if there's a lot of pickpockets around, or if there's a lot of people with money waiting to be picked, or just see how the market's looking.
Perception or insight, your choice.
Insight, and neither of them are better than the others, so perception.
Okay.
Ooh, natural 20. +2.
Ooh. That's it. Retired. We're done. First one.
We've rolled a
You've won.
natural 1 and a
You've won.
natural 20.
You've won D&D. There we go. So on your 22 total,
Yes, sir.
you immediately notice both folks eyeing up potential targets and people that definitely stand out as targets. There is a vast scale of wealth going on in here, whether it be boasting that they have it or trying to keep it hidden, or the full-on hiding it, as in you can see folks trying to hide their wealth but they look wealthy. You can see very wealthy folks. You can see folks that do not look wealthy in the slightest but are probably wealthy. And then you get the other end of the scale where they legitimately probably got nothing. And you do see a few youngsters that are eyeballing the old cut person run. No one's taken any immediate action yet, but you do see a playground of opportunity, that people are either accidentally offering themselves up to be robbed, or folks looking to rob them.
Okay. I would eventually like to maybe do something about that, but I don't want to hold off from our inn adventures either.
But that you have the freedom of whatever you wish to do. If you want to go bumping into people, just let me know.
No bumping. I'll cast a spell, just a cantrip, to see if that causes any reaction, though.
What are you casting?
Mage Hand. So it's invisible, nobody can see it per se. But just to see if there's a reaction to it.
Give me a perception check as you cast it.
Okay. 15.
15. There is a elf about 13 feet from you to your left that is got a mage hand out already and is just throwing a small ball in the air and catching it. And they seem to be doing this with their hand and seeing if they can throw it, and back of the hand, front of the hand. It's just a small ethereal hand. They haven't kept it invisible. And when you cast yours, they just go, look, like double take, and then they carry on doing the thing. You get that it's probably more a recognition of you casting it rather than seeing the spell.
Okay.
But no one else reacts or bats an eyelid or... But yeah. Cool. Inside the marble. You walk in. There is a single desk. A table desk, not like a long desk. Just a stool behind it. There is another gnome. Complete long, like oil black hair, just hanging down, messy. They haven't shaved in weeks. They're just kind of sat behind this desk with loads and loads of keys on small wooden, just small bits of wood. They're uneven, oddly shaped. They've got numbers on them. But there's these small keys on these wooden number. I can't think of the word. Like tags.
There.
Yeah. He just looks up, sees you all, shakes his head. This one's for you, and he jumps off the stool, walks away, and a younger gnome comes out, and she's got the same oil black hair, but it's tied back. Maybe the same age as the one that just walked away, but she seems to have presented herself a bit better, and her clothing again is of the fashion, but is better presented than Scruffy McScruff that just left. She gets on the table, onto the chair. I looks at you all, and a big beaming smile on her gnomish face. Are you here for the expedition?
I'm going to kind of step a little bit back and push Astari forward with the token, like sliding it into her hand, be like, I can intimidate people with being me, and just kind of like, go be the face.
What a sentence.
Hi. Yeah,
Hello.
We are. We were just wondering how many rooms you have available and how big they are, how many beds there are. There's 4 of us.
Well,
Hi.
hello. All the rooms are bunks, so there are maybe 16 bunks to a room. We do sometimes give out singulars, and we can arrange it for those that want it, but because of the expeditions, we've put bunk beds in all of them, so there's around 16 bunks to each room. I think, and she starts having a look at a bit of parchment on the table, I think there's maybe 6 rooms left with available for the expedition. Those on the expedition. You said there was 4 of you?
Yeah, there's
5.
5 of you? Where are the
5.
other 2? Do they require bigger
5.
rooms, or?
Can I look at your rooms?
If you want.
Mm-hmm.
Just passes over a key over to Saskia. The
Thank you.
second one on the left, that should open, I hope, unless just looks over her shoulder, unless he's mixed it up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you put her off and have a
I'll
look?
trot in that direction. Yep. I'll trot in that direction.
Cool.
I'll like turn around to Nim and ask, does that mean we have to share a room with other people outside of our party?
That's what it
16
sounds
beds?
like. Like, let's go look.
So you following Are you following Saskia up the stairs?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we'll follow and check out the room with her.
Saskia, as you open the door, can you give me a charisma saving throw?
Can. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I got 14 on the actual dice, but I'm still not sure how to figure that. Is that plus 4?
It's in your saving throws.
So yeah,
And
you
it
should have a
was charisma.
section. Yeah,
Sorry.
that's alright.
I helped her set up her sheet, so it's not quite what the player's sheet is
Okay,
normally.
okay.
It's set up on an Excel sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go look at the paper one too. Might be quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm just not sure how does this... Plus 3? Okay.
So what was that? 15? Did you say you got a 12 plus 3?
Let's see. I got... Oh no, it took away. It was a 14
Oh,
and
14.
plus 3, so 17.
17. Okay. As you open the door, you pause for a moment, and your the green of your eyes, Nim and Astari, you kind of half notice this. The green of your eyes kind of brightens, not like glows, just gets a bit of a sheen to it.
Okay.
But what you see in front of you is shadow everywhere else except almost like tunnel vision, and you see in a plant pot a very small sapling, maybe a single green leaf on it, but the main body of the sapling is like a pale ashen colour, and there is on the pot itself, there is like mosaic artwork of a pair of shackles or manacles, and you kind of just pauses you at the doorway, and then when you open your eyes properly and kind of shake it off, you notice that there is plants in this room and there are bunks everywhere, but none of them match what you just saw. There's a split second.
Okay. Interesting. I'll look back at the other two to see if they've noticed anything.
Nothing. Blink of an eye as time has passed. You didn't even notice that Saskia paused.
All right. I'm gonna open the door and invite them in.
Cool. Nice. I'll just kind of walk right in because I don't suspect anything.
Cool. Nothing stops you. You walk through. The rooms are as described by the gnomish lass downstairs. That there are bunks in here. There's about 16 in there, but you'd have to count them all. But they're kind of an L shape is the room. There's a few bunks round like the corner of the L that you're looking at, and there are a few like Saskia noticed a few small plant pots with smaller young flora in them.
Okay, but it does look like
it does look like there are a lot of bunks in there. At first glance, at least half of them have backpacks on or something on them to say, "This is mine." Beach towels.
Hostile style. I like it. It's very reminiscent of my days back at the monasteries, probably. Like sharing rooms.
I mean, it's definitely a communal.
Yep.
I have not had that experience, so I'm a little like annoyed and slightly disgusted, but whatever.
Whatever.
I technically, since I'm an elf, I won't be sleeping in them anyways. So I'll just be kind of trancing out. So
is
fine with
there 4 beds close together, preferably with like at the end of a row where we can like have some privacy?
Yes, to the 4 beds together. Privacy would be subjective to what's going on at the time.
It's more of just like 2
but
walls.
Yes, you could you could definitely give yourselves a section that this is where you're going to be. And privacy would probably be you going, get out the room. Or terrace.
I'll look over at Saskia, and I know that Audrey sent you in here to see if this was appropriate, suited for you. Is this a place you think that will function well?
If I tiptoe about this room and look at other people's things that they've left about, is there anything interesting about any of that?
Give me a perception check.
Okay. Is there anyone in this room right now? I feel like we will need a leash.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I failed that. I got a 2, so it's real bad.
So, it's less of a fail and more less information on what you get given back. Interesting things is entirely up to Saskia to determine. You do see the everyday sort of things, these are backpacks of folks that are probably going similar to yourself and Audrey. You have travelling items. There's nothing shiny that jumps out at you. You do notice that there are forms in at least 3 of the beds, but other than that, your keen eyes a little bit distracted by probably the plant you saw on the way in, but concentration's out a bit at the minute.
Can I check out these plants that are in the room, even though I know they're not the one I saw?
You can. So give me an
Just the visible
investigation check, just to see if there's any similarity to what you saw.
Crit fail. That was a 1. That was a 1. Yeah.
You don't see any similarities, but they're clearly, you know, in a conspiracy
They're
against you. Yeah.
There are plants here. Well, if I put my finger up to you because you're like 9 feet tall, you come down.
Crouch down.
Do you think it would be better for us to share a single room?
It would give us more privacy.
I do like privacy. This is very open.
And I'll kind of look at it as like, okay. Like, I don't see anything wrong with this. I'll look over to Istari. Are you uncomfortable with this as well?
Honestly, a little bit, but I'm okay either way. I can keep guard at night.
Let's go look at their single room and see if there's enough space for all of us. How about that?
Let's do
Alright.
that. Okay.
All right.
We'll go back to the main desk.
Okay. So as you're doing all that and going back to the main desk, Audrey, you know, eyes out, done your mage hand. Have you gone into the building, or are you planning a?
Staying out there.
Let's go.
I'm going to cancel my mage hand and use a different cantrip, and Saskia will hear in her head, because I'm using message. There's some fruit out here that looks good, but there's some flies buzzing around too. Are the beds big enough to share, or how's it going? Counting words.
Yeah.
How many words do we have?
25.
25? All right. Okay, hold on. No good, need to investigate getting a smaller room.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is that good enough for you, Audrey? Or?
Yeah.
Cool. Back inside, you go to the main desk. Was the room okay? And holds her hand out for the key.
I'll hand it back. Could we possibly see one of the single rooms?
You can, but they have to be reserved for the expedition. They're a little bit pricier. Do you unless you are able to fork up the bill now?
Do we
maybe,
not
or are
look
you?
as if we could cover it?
Well, your
do you
friend here is
think we
in
can't
a lot
cover
of
it?
metal armor.
I'll pull out the token. And does this get us anywhere with those rooms reserved for the expedition, or no?
She holds out a hand. May I?
I'll hand it over.
Cool. As soon as she holds it, from nowhere manifests, just out of thin air, a couple of lenses, and they just appear in front of her eye. And she looks at the wooden token. They disappear, and she hands it back. Yes, they will cover.
Okay, fair enough. Then may we go look at a single room?
And picks up a key and passes it to yourself.
Okay.
They're on the ground floor. If you just go behind here, and she points just a corridor down. There are two. That one will open the one on the right.
Thank you. I'll head down that direction.
Do you all head down that direction, or just Nim?
Yes. Very close on her heels.
Okay. When you get there, there is there's like a non-sentient assistant to the room. They have a almost ghost-like imagery about them. They are see-through-ish, as mist is see-through rather than glass. They don't have any features on their face and such, and they kind of just stood there, just in a. Butler's a shocking description, but they stood perfectly still and postured, and they just.
I'd like to poke it.
Your hand goes through it.
Are they blocking the doorway?
No,
or
they're
are they
stood.
in
They're stood
the
at
room?
they're stood at the side of the. Well, they're.
Interesting.
Yeah. at the side of the door. You notice that
my
there's
hand
one
in
on
front
the
of
other room as well. It doesn't react.
Is there a keyhole? Or
Yep,
does it...
there's a keyhole.
Okay. I will watch this being as I go to enter the key.
As you put the key in, it
Mhm.
doesn't react until the key hits. As soon as the key hits, it kind of comes to life, but more reacts to your unlocking the door.
Okay.
And you just hear a wispy-esque voice of, how many beds?
4, please.
And then it goes back to being postured again. And as you open the door, you notice that there are 4 beds in this room. There is a table in the middle, there is a jug of water and a jug of that spiced drink, and there are several clay mugs on the table.
I'll look back at the rest of the group with the "Wow, that's fancy" on my face written all over it.
Don't have these in the monastery.
Much nicer.
I would like again to remind everybody that I think Sarun may be overreaching what his compatriots are willing to cover. If we want to buy equipment, we may not want to overreach ourselves here.
Yeah, I'm thinking this room's a little too fancy for us, maybe. Especially since you'll probably need to get some different clothes or something for the trek, so I'm okay with the other room if you guys are, but that was fascinating to see.
I'll pout, but I won't argue. Kick the floor.
If you need extra space, we can put together some of the bunk beds, I'm sure.
So, do you want the single room or?
I'm gonna pass on it. I'm
about-
uncomfortable with making someone pay that much for me.
We can go outside and ask Audrey?
We should return the key first.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Go up, slide the key on the table, counter, I guess. If everyone's ready to leave. That is, I don't want to rush us out of here. Okay. Slide the key on the counter and be like, we need to have a conference with our other party members who are outside. We appreciate your time. We'll be back shortly. And I'll just walk on out.
Goodbye, take care. Thank you.
Thank you for showing us the rooms. We'll be right back.
Take your time.
I'm gonna stick my hand out to this person. Saskia, by the way, yours? Good mom.
You could call me Miss Marble.
Miss Marble.
Aw.
Excellent to meet you. Thank you. And then I will go outside.
Audrey, your adventuring friends return.
I've been sitting there with a mantra in my head. I told Saskia not to do it, I won't do it. I told Saskia not to do it, I won't do it.
Audrey's just covered in gold rings and purses.
Right. Oh, you're back. Did you get a room?
About that. And I'll kind of look at the other two. We have some options. And bring
We were
Audrey up.
wondering if you're okay sharing a room with other people or if you'd like to spend more money and have a singular room.
They're
Well,
worried about how much they really have to spend because they don't know how much is actually on this little chip. We can get a really nice room for the 4 of us, or we can share a room with 16 bunks and at least 5 fairly smelly travelers.
Did anybody ask prices on the beds?
I'll be right back.
If
I'll
we
go
don't
in.
know how much we have, does it matter
just-
how much it costs?
I'm just gonna go in and be like, clarifying question.
There is
Like really sheepish, like
definitely a pattern with you lot.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
Oh, hello again.
Sorry to bother you. We realized we never asked the prices of anything. So for the bunk beds, how much are those per bed? And also for the single room, how much is that? Just so we have a ballpark.
The bunk beds are a silver a night per person, and the single room is 6 gold a night, just for the room.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I'll just kind of awkwardly, like, head bobble my way out.
But bye again.
I'll convey that to the rest of the party when I get back.
Are you
So
lot just
how
hanging out outside the?
Yeah, just for a moment.
Go.
So how much do you want privacy? If I get a gold from each person, then I can pay the rest.
I'll look at you very uncomfortably. A gold from whom?
Each one of our group. Unless you want somebody else to pay, and I'm gonna look towards the market.
I thought that's what you were insinuating in the first place.
Clerics, yo.
I'm going to feel really ashamed of myself for assuming that.
Mhm.
My mistake. I'm sorry.
Do I look that shady to you? I'm offended. Wounded.
Inside check.
I mean, if I'm
You want
allowed
to.
to. Oh. Anywho, I'm not going to. I will just continue to feel shame for assuming.
If our party would like to have this room, and we have 4 of us in this group, so 3 of you pay a gold apiece, I will pay the other 3 gold. That is what I'm offering.
That's an awful lot of weight on you, my friend, and I would not wish to be a burden. I will go stay in the room of 16.
Fair enough.
I can agree with that, unless you guys really want your private fancy room. I'm okay just hanging out in the other one.
I didn't see either, so I'm just taking your guys' word on it.
Is the ground paved or is it dusty?
Dusty.
I would like to do a quick sketch of what the rooms looked like for Audrey, who stayed outside.
Give me a performance check.
Where's my performance? It's a charisma base.
Or,
That would be a third.
or dex is up to you. A dex check or a performance check.
I'm better with performance, so we'll go with a 13, because that was not a great roll.
It's not bad actually. It's not a bad layout. You get the L shape of the 16 bunk room, and you get the slightly off square. Some might call it a rectangle. Shape of the other room with the 4 beds.
My only concern, Audrey, is that you may have bad dreams in the larger room.
Yeah, those are more common now than not, are they?
They may be more common here.
Interesting. I think we should stay in the larger room then.
Mm-hmm. Fine.
Okay. We should pay up for 2 nights. And you said they were saving spots with towels or articles of clothing?
Bags and
Yes,
things.
so we should
Bags and
probably
things.
leave something we don't mind if it walks off.
I'm going to pet Terrace and kind of like pulling. The dog is like shedding extra fur. I pull off some leaves, just like extra fur leaves. You can put this on the bed in my spot.
Lovely.
Okay. I'll kind of look at everybody, and since I still have the token, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm the one going in.
I'll
Okay.
give you the silver for my bed. For 2 nights. That's 2 silver, right?
Silver a night per person.
Okay.
I'll follow you inside, while kind of asking, why did she give you silver? Because I thought the token was paying for it.
I thought so too. I'll give it back to her. Oh, we'll go up to the front desk.
I'm not used to other people paying for my stuff.
Very true.
It's fine.
So they,
And
Miss Marble
we're
is
back.
there.
Hi, Miss Marble.
Hello again.
A consensus has been reached finally. Thank you so much for your patience. We would love to take 4 rooms in your 16 bunk space rooms. And that would be, and I'll hand her the token on our friend Saran.
Also, okay, not a problem. And gives you the same key that she gave Saska earlier.
Okay.
It's only the one key, so you'll have to share. But
Okay. Thank you.
Well, there's
we appreciate it.
3 or 4 keys, but they've already been handed out. So
Understandable. And I'll just kind of collect the token and the key back and
make sure you mark your territory on the bed.
Also for 2 days. I want to make sure I clarify that's for 2 days. If I didn't, it was in my head, but I don't think I said that. Okay. Okay.
I'm not going to tip up on day 2 and be like, get out.
I was like, oh no, we'll get kicked out.
Send it
It's all
in the
because of
Minotaur.
me.
A dragon turns up. So yeah, so you've paid for the 2 nights with the token, and she's suggested you mark your bed.
Okay. I'm going to look over at Astari. If we can move some bunk beds closer to each other in that corner that was available, I think that might make the smaller people more comfortable.
Absolutely. Let's try it out.
Okay. I will wander over into the room to the corner spot that we'd found with the 4 beds that were available. Are these bolted down or are these movable?
They're movable.
Sweet. I will go ahead and move our beds next to each other.
You as you're moving them, you do notice that they're stacked. So the bunk beds are probably single beds, and they've stacked them for the expedition.
That works.
Really safe.
Perfect. I love it. Just gonna push it right up against the wall so it makes an L shape of where they touch on the corner, and then I will spread the leaves on one. I'm going to take some of the materials that I carry for crafting basic leather gear with me, and just leave probably some scrap wool on the bed if I can.
Okay.
I'll look over it. Istari, besides the leaves and the wool, I don't have much.
I have no idea what to leave. I guess I have like a small satchel of a few things.
So you'll have a basic pack that all adventurers start with like winter rolls and 50-foot of hemp rope and a ladder. But yeah, so you have small travelling things that you'd a real person would travel with.
What would like the least valuable or useful thing from that be?
That's up to you. If you want to just throw your if you think keeping your rope is very useful, keep it. If you just want to throw it on the bed, throw it on the bed. If so what are you, a warlock? So you probably have trinkets that maybe you call out to your patron with, incense and stuff maybe, or just minor things that are trivial. So it's less of a actual monetary value and what Istari would rather not lose or risk losing.
Yeah. I assume I'd carry around some incense, so I'll maybe leave some of that on the bed.
Okay.
Not much, but enough to be like
Someone's here. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. We've claimed 4 beds then?
Yep.
Okay, sweet. Then once we're done claiming, I'll kind of look. Is there anybody else in the room who's kind of watching us do this?
Give me a perception check.
Oh, that's persuasion. Oops.
You can persuade them.
14.
14. You do notice 3 shapes under blankets and such.
Okay. Fair. And I'll just kind of take a peek and... Alright, ready to go. Are you ready as well, Astar? You think this is enough? Kind of looking at the other beds to compare what we've left.
I think it's okay, yeah. We shouldn't be gone for too long. What time of day is it again?
It's the morning. It's morning time. You've spent maybe an hour so far since getting off, like just potting around, maybe a bit longer. But It's early morning, so it's even though it's hot, it's got at least an element of coolingness to it. But you are aware, or have been told, and can guess, come midday, it's going to be toasty in that plate armor.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Yep.
that's fine. We should probably go find you some lighter clothes.
Fair, thank you. And we'll head on out. I'll give Astari the key, by the way.
Okay.
I'll keep that safe in my little satchel thing.
So,
As soon as they're out of earshot, I
Oh.
want to lean in and describe that vision to Aubrey.
okay. So them two have entered. They're going on about renting the room and sorting it out. You two have your time outside, and Saska tells you all about the sapling that she saw.
Is it similar to what I've been seeing in my dreams?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't like it.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one. That's why we're out here.
Hmm.
But we're close to the dream realm, so maybe more dreams will be coming in, and maybe they'll be clearer so we can see where it is.
Dun dun dun.
You don't know.
I don't, but I want to know.
So, before we all go trekking around the market area, would folk like a quick break to get a drink and stuff?
I could use a quick stretch.
Yeah. Right. So,
Sure.
lovely folks watching. We'll be gone about 10 minutes.
That sounds great.
Yep. I really need a drink and a possible bio break, but but yes. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes, and
That
hopefully,
sounds like momentarily.
yeah. So see you soon.
Are we starting?
Oh no, I need your camera on.
Anything?
Onyx. It's moved you around because your camera's off. Oh, it's still. Did someone's camera go off in the break? Hello, we're back. It's moved, people. I need to move people.
Oh no.
Let's move people. So let's get.
It would have been
Uh-oh.
even better if Onyx and I switched.
Yeah, I know. I want to change it. I want to know.
I haven't. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
You're back.
Yeah. Moodles
I'm
is
just
out-
floating in the void over here.
There. Can you tell I've done this before? Yeah, I think that's everyone back in
At
place.
Fix.
Yes, Lord Nova, my puppers are wondering what the heck I'm doing in this room I'm hardly ever in. Oh no, Mahoodles is under my screen now.
Alright, so as long the Zoom call is it,
Mhm.
that's fine. Everyone back, so yeah, there we go, we're all back. Hello, welcome back. Right, we've had a break. You this lovely bunch just before the break, you've had something to eat, you've had something to drink, you've checked out the bedrooms, you've got yourself some bunks, and you've decided to go on a shopping trip.
Mm-hmm.
Dungeons and Dragons at its best.
I actually don't even know what my character has. This was not something that was completely worked out beforehand.
We
which I
didn't figure
realized
out
is
gold.
on me.
Yeah.
I didn't figure out anything as far as what kind of money or supplies or anything that I had on me. So I apologize for that.
I don't worry.
It will be hard. Yeah.
We're super experienced.
Super experienced.
Mhm.
So
It's fine. It's probably fine.
we will totally get through this. So
Got it. All right.
you are planning, I believe, to go out into the market and adjust yourselves for a desert expedition.
Before we leave the hotel, I would like to give Audrey back their 2 silver. I am going to be the honest one in the party, even if I don't trust you as a player.
I'm surprised you remembered because I had already forgotten.
Yes. Brilliant.
I will gladly take back my 2 silver.
Cool.
I will shake my head at Audrey for having handed them over in the first place.
Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention earlier too, as we're like leaving that area, is that I carry around like on some chains and cool like warlock looking stuff, my Tome of Shadows, and I've decided to kind of keep that hidden in my satchel. So I've moved my satchel over to that side and kind of put the book in there and like have kind of securely fastened it so people don't see it and ask me about it.
Okay.
Is this something that has changed since earlier, or that you have had this whole time that way?
I guess if I can have it where like, since I was getting off the boat, I kind of like hit it before I stepped off. If not, I'll just have done that right now.
Is that your
Well-
pact? Did you go pact of the tome?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my packed
okay.
little tome.
That's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah, so
Character
yeah,
flavor.
sorry if I neglected that earlier, just putting that out there.
That's fine.
You reminded me I too forgot something. Character flavor. I have a pouch, little leather pouch on my necklace. So that's all. I forgot to put that
Like
in.
a
earlier.
purse pouch.
No, it is only about this big,
Okay.
very small. Holds very small objects in it, but it's very important to Audrey. Like she does not let it leave her person.
Okay.
So if you
Use
try and
my
steal
book.
my stuff, if some other pickpocket comes in, that's what I'm trying to guard.
Okay. I mean, it's not easy to.
can I make a roll to see if I can tell if people are hiding things on themselves, just to see what they're trying to protect?
Give me
Curiosity.
give me an insight check.
Insight check.
Yeah.
Okay.
While they are scoping out the potential prey, I am going to look around for someone who like recycles materials, like busted down wood, metal, that kind of stuff that's going to be dirt cheap.
Easily found. There is quite a few stalls that essentially their thing is going round and grabbing that sort of stuff because like I said earlier, the buildings were initially going to be built as permanent, but then people got a bit lazy and just half-ass them together with canvas and wood and stuff. So
Fair.
not a lot. There's not a lot of metal per se.
I
but,
need just a little bit,
Yeah.
at least some. I would like to gather roughly around 10 gold worth of materials doing that.
Okay, give me a persuasion check.
Okay. That is 16 plus. Oh, I'm proficient in
If I have to
persuasion.
roll insight, Will, what does that mean as far as what I've got on there?
21.
21
I've got a
total.
+7. Okay. I got 12 heavy
12.
on insight.
Okay, so on your insight check, you don't notice many people, bar the obvious, that, you know, keeping their hands close or eyes out, but no one seems to stand out that is hiding anything in particular. Yourself and Audrey have, you know, scoped the prey many a times, but there's nothing out the ordinary where you wouldn't. There's nothing surprising where people are trying to keep stuff guarded, if that makes sense.
I was actually meaning more towards these new 2 people that we're spending a lot of time with, as far as their body language.
Okay. Also, if it's aimed at Nim and Nim and Astari. So Astari is very obvious. It's a large tome that she keeps in a satchel, and that's an obvious. There's
it's an obvious thing she's kind of being protective of.
But it's not like she's hugging it and like hiding in the shadows. It's just you're aware that it means a fair amount to her. Nim's a little bit different. Like, other than the obvious religious icon hanging from a chain or a bit of rope or whatever is around her neck, there's nothing.
I don't have much.
There's not a lot of secrecy to Nim's putting a coin in a pouch.
Backpack. I got a backpack for carrying stuff, but even that looks pretty empty.
I mean, you and Audrey probably come across paladins and clerics and such before that kind of rely on what they've got rather than anything valuable. But yeah, on your 21, roll a d10 plus 2.
5, 6, 7.
That's total, yeah. So you managed to acquire 7 gold's worth of wood and metal, not the 10.
Fair.
I would like to look for things like better clothing for ourselves, shade cloth for Terrace especially, but myself included, and maybe a store for healing potions. I don't know if we can get that all in this market, but that's what I'm going to be looking out for.
So the town is large enough that it could be classed as a city. So there is a fair amount of resource here. It also is an attraction to folk because of the districts of alchemy, of astrology and such. So you get that. You get a lot. Anywhere that has a alchemical dedication to it is quite popular throughout the world, to be fair. Like, it's an art form. But the potions and stuff that are on sale in the normal market area, there's a lot of claim for these to be the best healing potions in the world, but you'd have to probably get a bit more involved trying to work out if they actually were, or if someone's just put a bit of food colouring in the water. And you are all aware that potions are generally quite expensive because of the amount of magic that goes into them.
Fair. Next thing I'd like to look for is like an armor smith. As a character, would I have an awareness of like what would be a good replacement for heavy plate in the desert, or is that something I'm going to have to find that information?
You know, like, it's not like you've never trained in the heat before, or but yes, you are aware that, you know, carrying this several pounds of weight just running around the desert is gonna hurt a bit.
As a player, I have no clue what to replace my plate armor with. Like, that's why I'm just like, throw me a bone. I know nothing. My character may know.
No,
but I'm clueless.
you must work it out. Get on Google.
Okay, I'll look.
But
right now.
Probably the things like Audrey's wearing and such, like the more leather, thicker leathers and stuff.
Perfect.
They'll probably get a bit hot, but there'll be less weight. and you
Okay.
can handle the heat. It's just the weight on top of exertion that will be slightly.
Fair.
You are also aware that plate armor is expensive.
Yes,
So-
which is why I don't want to get rid of mine.
Yeah, or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
So bear that in mind. But again, you can, like I say, if you were to do, say you're doing a night patrol or something, then it makes sense that you'd put your armor on. But if for some
Okay.
reason you had to run across the desert, you'd probably choose more leather armors or padded. Well, padding is going to be warm. It's all going to be warm. It's armor, but
Mm-hmm.
but yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm going to see if I can find anywhere that I can get a hold of like a hide or studded leather shirt, something that is more akin to what would be worn here, and try and match more of the local clothing.
There's a few armors again, and on that point, most of them are trying to sell like Potamian sort of styled armor and stuff, and that's their sales pitches. You know, ours is far better than those in the north or the west or etc. But studded leather and leathers and such and hides easy to pick up. Are you paying for them, or you put them on the token?
I don't have a whole lot of cash for myself, probably as a cleric, so I would probably put them on the token, to be completely honest.
So you can get yourself, well, whichever you wish, leather, hide, or studded.
I will go with. I'm grabbing my book. Don't mind me here.
While she does that, can I look for a weapon, like enchanted weapons store? I
You-
know they're gonna be pricey. I just want to look.
Look.
Oh yeah, no, hands behind the back the whole time.
Yeah. There are claimed stores. Like the market is pretty decent, pretty hefty in size, and there is quite a lot of folk claiming to have magical weaponry and armor and items and. But yeah, so it's up to yourself, and if you want to go looking, we can go proper looking. By that I mean you will be rolling dice. But
Fair, that's fair.
but yeah, so give me a perception check to start with.
Okay, that's not terrible. 15.
15. So there's a couple of stalls not too far from where you're all kind of like spread out, but you're not miles away from each other, but you're kind of spread out. And they are claiming to have magical swords and magical hammers, and it's all weaponry. There's no shields, there's no armor, there's no items. They're just claiming that their scimitars and such are better than a longsword, and the other guys saying his longsword's better than a scimitar, and they're just back and forth.
I would like to go look at them if I can.
Okay. As you approach, they both of the merchants are involved in conversations with folk, talking about, again, just you get a familiar feeling listening to these two battle it out and say that their stuff's better than the other, as for when you and Saskia perform moments in your adventures. And there's folk like hook, line and sinker falling for it and handing over gold or items, or there's a lot of bartering going, not necessarily coinage, but people will trade. Give me a investigation check, just as you kind of pick up a couple of the swords just to test
See if
their
they're-
weight and stuff, and see if there is any.
Ooh, that's better. Investigation. Ooh, it's even better.
Calm yourself.
She's a
22.
What did
It's
you
one of
roll?
my skills.
Rolled
So
a
I rolled a
2.
17.
Okay.
No.
So 22. They're not set out very well. The weapons are not in nice racks or anything like this. There's just piles of them on a table and piles of them on the other tables, and they've got more of them in like large satchels at the back. But as you are kind of sifting through, picking up the odd sword, there's various like straight blade, curved blade, hooked blade, like short, long, like great swords and stuff, and they kind of just, like I said, thrown them all together, like rummaging through them and stuff, and trying to look not interested and just kind of casually. The hairs on the back of your on your arm kind of stand up or react when you run your hand over the handle of a. It's a short sword, kind of thick bladed, a bit more like a gladius in design, but it definitely reacts in a way that you're used to when you've interacted with magical items. But they claim everything is magical.
Okay. Can I hear how much they're selling them for? What they're talking to people or bartering for?
Anywhere from 100 gold to 1,000 as they spin their stories of these are the greatest weapons wielded by heroes of myth and legend, and there is. I'd be robbing myself if I didn't charge you 1,000 gold for this sort of mentality. Definitely street hustling. Like you spot it a mile away.
Okay. What is their shop setup? Is it just like 2 carts side by side with an awning, or?
That's pretty much it. 2 carts side by side, a table out front, awnings over both of them. They look separate, but again, you spot the Audrey Saskia play a mile away.
Because you said they're in boxes, like I've been rummaging through their stores basically.
Yeah.
Is it like haphazard? It's not strewn across the ground. It's in boxes and stuff.
It's full on, as if you were to go in like the kids' toy store and there's just a load of toy swords in a box.
Okay.
They're really haphazard and they're all different. Like I said, they've got no organisation to it. They've just got a load of swords put in boxes. I mean, the great sword's like 6.5 feet long and it's kind of stuck in there with a dagger and stuff. It's very chaotic the way they've just thrown it all together.
Okay.
Watch out for the ones turned upside down.
Right? That's really tempting. All right. I will kind of. I'll set it to this, like, in the bottom of it, sort of, if I can, while I'm shuffling through, like, kind of bury it a little bit.
Okay, give me a sleight of hand.
Okay.
Might as well use these character sheets.
Yep. 18.
18, cool. You're pretty confident that you've managed to bury it without being totally obvious, moving some of the other weaponry around and stuff. And you're confident that it is buried.
Fair enough. That's all I wanted for now. I will go talk to Saskia.
Cool. While you're looking for Saskia, Istari, are you doing anything in the market?
Yeah, I would like to go check out a potion shop.
Okay. So there are maybe 10, I mean it's a very large marketplace, that are claiming to sell potions that rival that of the district. It's up to you whether you believe that, but these market stalls claim that the potions they have, and there are a lot of vials on their tables, whether they be test tube in shape or bulbous and such, all different kinds of colours, from deep reds to powder pinks to greens and yet like all over. There's quite a lot of herbalists as well that are trying to claim that their natural potions and such are better than the arcane ones that are being made.
Where is like the cheapest potions, I guess?
Maybe 2 carts down from you. There's someone selling herbal remedies for maybe a gold, couple of silver, that will get you up in any battle you see yourself in, or so they claim.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'll go check those out.
Okay.
I am not sure entirely what type of potions I want to get.
So when you get there, there's a dwarven woman. Her beard is down to her chest. It's very curly. She's definitely got age in it. Like there's a lot of grey stripes in the darker colour of the beard. Completely smooth lip area, and you can see she spent a lot of time. There are small little golden rings in her beard. Her hair is long, free flowing. She seems to be uncaring about the temperature for so much hair. every now and then, you know, there's her own inbuilt aircon just breezes her air. But she's got all these. She's in the attire of Portamere. It's very loose, and you assume comfortable in the climate. And on her table in front of her is a lot of natural looking ingredients. There's less. The other portions down the way, they seem to be everything's bottled. Everything's got its own little shelf sort of thing going on, like a spice rack. But here there's just a lot of natural ingredients, and then to one side of it there's some already made remedies that are in smaller things with cork lids and such.
So if I just get like the herbs and stuff, would I have to make a potion with it instead of just like eating it?
Well, it's up to you. So, if you just want to start buying herbs and chewing on them, we can find out what happens. But,
I don't know about that.
Yeah. So, she's very happy to see you approach, and she stands off her stool. You notice that she's kind of just twiddling her thumbs, sat on a stool, and when you approach, she puts on a beaming smile as customers here. Morning.
Hello, I would just like to check out some potions.
Well, you've come to the right place. And she leans in as if it's a big secret. What are you after, my dear?
At least a healing potion.
How potent would you like this healing potion? Is it for a mighty warrior or a frail child?
Mighty warrior.
Obviously, these are the levels of potion making.
Yeah.
Then
See,
you'll
she's
want
trying
this.
to sell me.
She points to two that are in... you can see the glass sort of stem popping out of like a little leather pouch, and it's corked. These two will pick up the mightiest warrior the world's ever seen in an instant. I'll give you them for 3 gold each.
Okay, here's a question. How perceptive would she be if I flirted with her to get the prices down?
Well, that's a roll. So, give me...
Or I'll go to a different station.
Give me a persuasion check.
Player question.
Yeah.
You had mentioned our character's new potions were really expensive.
Yeah.
Would her character know if this price was normal for potions? Just player question.
For a magical potion of low level to heal is about 50 gold. Ish. For a natural potion is an unknown entity because it's rare. Saskia might have a better understanding of it, being a druid, and Audrey because Audrey knows why. But yeah, the rest, like most folk, know that magical potions are really expensive, like 50 gold up. But the natural remedies that will give you just a little boost in a fight, or maybe a little bit of what's the word? A lot of natural elements will have a supernatural effect on you. Like you can get some roots that will give you fire breath, but very little compared to the magical potion. So you're definitely in the cheaper area of it. So you would know that magical are really expensive and the natural are less so. But it's again the judgment of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So persuasion?
Yeah, what roll did you want me to make? Sorry.
Persuasion.
Do I roll a d20 for that?
Yes. Always a d20 and less damage.
Okay. Oh, I got a nat 20.
Nice.
For a total of flirting with my bearded dwarf. What's the total? So what's your persuasion score as well? So what's your total
sorry,
roll?
I'm not gonna find that.
Is that right?
Oh, okay. So my charisma is like +4.
Okay. So that's 24.
Sorry.
And now I'll try and roll against that. My dwarven lady did not get a 24. So, as you lean in and, begin to flirt, she, you see a bit of colouring in her cheeks as she steps back a little bit.
I'll compliment her beard,
She kind of looks down a bit and strokes her beard, very proud of it. I'll give you, okay, how about a gold each?
think that sounds good. Kind of overall question outside of character. We did not say how much gold we have. How much gold, like, is fair maybe to say that I like personally am carrying?
What level are we? 5? Do we say?
5, yeah.
I'd say 10 a level.
10, 11. That's fair.
Yeah, so you got 50 gold. Up to, if you choose for roleplay reasons not to have that, you're lunatics, but it's up to you.
Okay. I'm debating if I should get a potion for everyone in the party or just myself. Is anyone like, does anyone have healing spells that I would have been like?
If they haven't said anything,
Okay.
you don't know.
You're like
Ignore
our
the
healer.
dancing dragon ball. Who stood on a box going, me. Until Nim tells you. I mean, you are aware Nim is a warrior of faith, and most divine folk do have access to healing magic, so you could make the assumption that Nim might know a little bit, but you're unsure if she's specialised in healing or blowing stuff up with divine fire.
Okay. Might just grab like 2 of the potions then.
Okay, so she gives you these 2 root-based potions for a gold each. Because of your 24. But yes.
Awesome. And I think that'll be all.
Well, feel free to come back any time you want. She's kind of twisting her fingers in her beard. Get some tangled and stuck.
I'll tell her thank you, and give her a wink, and then I'll just go kind of browse the rest of the places.
She half leans over the stall as she's waving bye to you. Job done. So, Audrey, you meet up with Saskia.
Mm-hmm.
And you say you
I
wanted
was
to talk to
looking
her.
for children playing dice in the alleys, personally.
Perception check.
All right.
Goodness, rob the children now.
No.
Or start her
Need
own
info.
Thieves Guild.
All right. What was I rolling? Insight?
Perception, to see if you can see them.
Perception? And what is perception adding? Is that adding insight? What does that add to? Because
Wisdom.
it's what?
Wisdom modifier.
Okay, so wisdom plus 4? Okay. I will get used to this eventually, Heavy.
That's fine.
It's a lot to memorize,
So
Misty.
17.
17. You do indeed see a few youngsters playing games in the alleyways that are with something they're rolling.
I just want to befriend the children and play some dice. That's my goal.
Okay, so as you approach the children, this is your goal. We're going to see if you achieve it. So as you
Okay.
approach the children, you notice that the young girl that dealt with Nim's food order is the first person you recognise from when you were in the pub earlier.
Gotcha.
And she turns, waves, and just carries on playing. Then realises that you recognise her. She recognises you. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay?
Oh, hello. Absolutely. What have we got? And then I'm just gonna pop a squat like I belong there.
Oh, cool. We're just playing scarab dice that I just made up right now. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Will you teach me?
Well, yeah, but yeah, I can teach you. So she gives you
All right.
some homebrew right there. There we go.
I love it. Gotta write those notes so you don't forget it.
Oh, people will expect this. So she gives you a couple of dice that has got no numbers on them, but there's a scarab on one side of it. Everything else is blank. All right, so it's 2 dice with a scarab on it. So we roll it. We cover. You roll yours. I roll mine. We cover it up, and then we've got to convince each other who's got the scarab. It's like a lying game.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Can I join you?
Yeah. Here's your dice. And she passes you
All right.
a dice. So you roll a dice. So roll a d6.
Okay.
So, Misty, the 6 represents the scarab on your dice. Yeah. All the other
Gotcha.
numbers are fake. All right. There's no numbers. So I'm gonna roll a d6, and you're gonna roll a d6, and you're gonna try and outlie the little girl.
Okay.
Yeah. So Don't tell me what you got.
Now, am I wanting to look as if I do or do not have it? Is really the question.
That's your choice.
It's just red to me. Okay.
So the aim of the game is to convince the other person that you have the scarab showing. That's the aim of the game as your character. But you, as a player, you decide what you want to do.
Okay.
So she's got her dice covered up. She rolls it on and she jumps on it straight away. And she's like, oh, I've definitely got the scarab.
Do you now? Well, that would be very strange if we both had it at the same time.
Insight check.
Mm-hmm.
So you roll an insight and see if the little girl's lying. I mean, this is D&D. Let's just go rob the kids.
Why not?
With a druid, a rogue, a warlock, and a cleric.
Yep. Y'all are just chaos, and I'm like, wait.
I only rolled an 11, so she should very easily beat me on this.
So she'll roll against you.
Mm-hmm.
There is, looking at the way her body language and stuff is, there is an element of truth. Not completely, I mean, it's not like all out you believe her, but she's hard to read. Like, there's a bit of truth about what she's saying, or at least perceived truth.
I want to give her a little bit that says I'm lying. Put in my body language that I'm not being honest.
Okay.
I'm looking to lose.
So how it works now is we both get to call. So I'm going to say you're lying.
And then do I say whether or not I think you are?
Yep.
I would say you're not. And go ahead and show.
She shows.
I got a 4, so.
So you didn't have the scarab.
I did not have it.
So you were lying. She didn't have the scarab either. She was lying.
So she won. She won up and up.
So.
All right.
Are you wanting to spend a couple more games kind of just getting involved with them and kind of building that trust?
Do I have, like, copper, basically, or something?
Yeah. So it's 10 coppers a silver, 10 silvers a gold, 10 golds a platinum. It's just 10, 10, 10.
Okay.
Doesn't ruin the economy at all. But
not in the least.
But yeah, you do have copper coins and such.
I'll play 3 games. Probably try to lose all 3 and toss them to the kids.
Okay.
I also want to try to get any info about anything of interest in the area from them.
Anything specific or just general information?
General, what they've seen, they would see everything. They would know everything. So anything they've noticed is different. People to be worried about, things of that nature.
So you're after general. Okay. Give me a persuasion check with advantage, which means you get to roll the d20 twice and pick the highest number.
Okay.
And that's because you allowed them to win and such, and you've gained their trust.
Excellent.
Didn't rob the children. Phew. Cleric's not going to have nightmares.
You don't know. She's going to take a copper back when she leaves.
That's true.
Hold it. Okay, so
you roll.
If I'm rolling persuasion, what do I add to
wisdom?
The d20 roll. Wisdom.
Oh, is it charisma? Sorry,
that's 7, right?
Charisma.
Or is it
persuasion's charisma?
3?
Yeah.
Okay, I got 21.
Right, let me just send the plot over to you. Right. So, general information is one, stuff you already know. They tell you that there are several expeditions going out looking for a fallen star. Even though the astrologers are wanting, have kind of set up and sponsored these different expeditions to go out and get what they can about this fallen star, the information. Can it be brought back here? Does it have to be a site that people need to go to and do things there? You know, how size-wise and such. is a complete like those of the library district in the east west. Where are we? So the North District of Astrology, they're the ones sponsoring everything. You knew that anyway. But the Eastern District, the Alchemical District in the East, they are very, very, very keen to get their hands on this fallen star and the magical properties they could possibly use in alchemy. It's unknown, untapped. No one's ever done it. So they're definitely after it, but they're not putting up any money. There's no expedition. There's no officialness going out. But the kids know that the Eastern District is looking at getting hold of this star. The Western District, the one with that's home to like the books and the tomes and the scrolls and such, even though there's a bit of a soft ban on spell books, Constellamancy is a quite new school of magic. So you get all your damaging magics, your protective magics, your divine magics, your divination magics, but star magic, as the Constellamancy is super new, very rare. There are not many wizards that have learnt about it. So they're wanting to get hold of the star so they can essentially progress their knowledge of Constellamancy. Again, all under the table, as it were. They haven't put any money up for expeditions, but the kids know that they too are sending out people to maybe snatch it from the astrologers. Locally to town, stuff that you'd expect, or at least in other places, populated places, towns, villages, cities that you've been with Audrey. There are always folk, like territorial stuff going on, people who run the markets or run pickpocketers, or even those that like work in the taverns and such. There's always a competitiveness around smaller gangs and such. If you want to go deeper into that, they'll tell you. But I would say the only thing that is sticking out the most, specifically to yourself, locally, where are we? Is there in town? There is a what some folk call tieflings, which are a fiendish-blooded creature, but what they are known of around here is the Tifal Alarm, and they are nightmare tieflings. The town itself that you're in is so far on the southern coast that it doesn't get a lot of the dream and nightmare-esque peoples of Portomir. They kind of stick to the cities further in the north, but there is a Tifal Alarm tiefling in town, and that is one of the children of Nightmare.
Okay. And what information can I get as far as they're concerned?
Just that they're in town. The kids have not gone anywhere near trying to find out anything about it, but they speak of it in full-on, fear, superstition. Like, Portomir is, and you will have probably got this from conversation on the ship on the way here, it's not... There are so many realms and demiplanes in the magical worlds, but to have a realm that is within the material realm, like Portomians can, assuming they're skilled, can walk into the dream, like as if going to the shop for bread and milk. Like, it is that simple for some of them. That is how close the dream realm is to the material realm. It is part of the culture of Portomir, which means the nightmare realm is just as close. So the way the children speak of the nightmares and dreams when they're telling you about this nightmare tiefling being in town is it's part of their faith, their religion, their way of life, the dreams and the nightmares. Obviously nightmares, not many folk are keen of, but they still have their place in the pantheon of Portomir. But yeah, it's very much part and parcel. And it's not that the nightmare tiefling is rare; it's just rare to be here in town.
Okay. Okay.
Not bad for a 24.
Okay, yeah. That works. I assume you could find me, Audrey. That's all I was just doing that while you were up looking for things.
I was just wondering if you would watch Terrace for me. I think Sarah was going to take a look around town too.
Certainly.
Okay. I will tell Terrace to stay with Saskia,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna try and find a quiet, secluded corner where I can not be observed working some magic.
Give me a investigation check.
Investigation?
Yeah.
23.
Yeah, pick a spot anywhere in town. You are definitely capable of finding anywhere nearby that you wish to give yourself a bit of privacy.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe disguise self is concentration.
It is not. I believe it's just duration.
Yep, it just lasts for an hour. So I want to... Are halflings common here, or...
They're common enough that you've seen a fair few of them.
Okay.
You know, it's not like there's two or one. Like there's enough of everything, especially with it being a part-time port, as it were, for the sky ships and the sea ships.
Okay. I would like to make myself look like one of the probably wealthy, but making them not look wealthy individuals, but a halfling.
Okay.
And in port, shoot, I have the word. Port Mare garb.
Okay.
Am I
So
Optimus Onyx?
you look local.
Look local, yes. That's what I'm aiming for, is to look local.
Cool, you succeed.
And... Okay. And I would like to, when I'm within about a minute of the weapon vendors, to cast Mage Hand, but out of where they can see.
Are you trying to rob your sword that you hid earlier?
Maybe.
Okay.
You presented a shiny.
Okay, noted. Alright, so you want to do it towards the end of the spell?
For the disguise self or the Mage Hand?
For the disguise self.
No, I will do it towards like the beginning part of it.
Okay.
Just like wander around and look at places, but I want to have time to wander around more.
Okay. Are you wandering around to look for anything, or are you wandering around to be seen as halfling?
Both. I'm just looking for stuff in general too.
Okay.
Some more Port Tamaris. I'm butchering your names. I'm sorry.
Portamia.
Portamia?
Yeah.
Tamir. Okay.
To be fair, you're new to it, so if Audrey wants to get it wrong, she can.
I just want to look for some more cloth that will help keep me and Saskia and Terrace cool.
Will you be,
so I am actually going shopping.
Will you be paying for it yourself, or will you
Yes.
be... Okay.
Yes, I will be paying for it myself. I don't want to owe anybody.
So if it's just shade cloth for the three of you, maybe 4 silver.
Okay, that's doable.
By the time you've got plenty of it and enough of it that you can rotate in and out.
I'm assuming that took roughly half of the time on the
it's about
spell.
half an hour past. And then you find yourself heading back nearby the weapons store.
I would like to cast Mage Hand stealthily if I can, where they can't see it.
So is is Mage Hand vocal or what's the word? Somatic.
Yes, it's verbal and somatic.
Okay, so give me a sleight of hand check, just to
Okay.
see if you can get away with not waving your arms and shouting in the middle. Should be
It's not
easy
bad.
enough.
26.
God dang. I'm nowhere near you to stop this
Rogues,
either.
absolute rogues. So, yeah, you get away with that, like, really well. I don't even know how to describe that. Yeah, that's unbelievable. You just walk past and your mage hand apparates as you so wish.
Invisible if it can be.
It's definitely
plan-
invisible.
My plan is to wait till somebody's close to that crate and tip it over like they bumped into it with my mage hand.
So mage hand's limited on what it can
5 pounds.
shift 5 pounds to a box
Yeah,
of
probably
metal.
can't lift a box. Okay, yep, fair, that's fair.
I will,
Okay.
if you want to trip somebody up into it, I'll make you roll against
just grab
it.
an ankle?
Yeah, if you want to try. It'd be a roll, but... Or you can think of another way. I'm just... You know, don't want to waste your 26.
I would like to... How is the awning pinned up over the carts?
just loosely tied. Like
Well, you know where that's going then.
you get the feeling that these two, that are clearly not in cahoots, would probably want to make a fast getaway, so not a lot of stuff is tied down. It's just...
Mm-hmm.
You could easily untie with your mage hand.
I would like to do 2 things at once if I can. Trip somebody with my foot into that crate,
Okay.
and use my mage hand to untie the awning on the far side at the same time.
Cause a bit of... Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Give me an acrobatics check, just to see if you are able to stick your leg out in an obvious way, maneuver your self to aim your mage hand and concentrate.
Okay.
You'll be laughing at that 38 or whatever you just rolled.
She breaks
23.
games.
23. I'm just going to try and roll. So, I got a 3. So the person you trip, they're just kind of walking past. They're not even looking at the stall. It's just a young lad carrying a sack of fruit, probably peaches, to some elf that's ordered them across the market square, and just trips sideways into the box of swords. They go sprawling, or at least some of them fall out because they're quite heavy, so some of them stay in there. But there is essentially like, what the? And before they all start cursing, the awning falls down on the far side. There's a few people that are under it. When they're looking at stuff, they start kicking off because this has fallen on top of them. And there's a moment of chaos that you may take advantage of, if that's the plan.
Yeah, that is the plan, yes.
Are you sticky fingers straight on the sword?
I would like to.
Okay. So give me a sleight of hand to nip in, grab the gladius you hid.
Okay. I'm sorry.
At least you have the decency to be embarrassed for abusing your DM.
The 25.
Jeez. In a vain attempt...
You're gonna fail me when I'm going...
In a vain attempt to try and see this. His eyes fall out. They trip, box everywhere, awning comes down, people kicking off. You kind of just look around in your halfling disguise self, and you just walk. You don't even need to crouch because you're fairly short. You just walk past, grab the gladius.
I'm gonna tuck it under the cloth that I'm carrying.
And you easily disguise it with the cloth. And off you walk, away from the commotion, leaving people to kick off and shout, while them two not working together merchants calm people down. You have stolen yourself what you believe to be a magical sword. All in a day's work. So what?
I was gonna go buy some hides and then go back to the hostel for the night.
So, happy shoppers, what is your next plan?
I need to get a little bit more metal and some more leather. I have some, but not all of it, so probably about 5 more gold worth
So,
of leathers.
Give me a persuasion check.
Okay.
Astari, Saska, are you doing anything else?
Oh, I'm just getting the dog and the kids to play games with me in the streets. That's,
I mean, it's the dream. It's the dream.
yeah.
18.
18. Cool. Roll a d10 and add 1.
I leave all the work to Audrey.
That is a 7 and 1, so 8.
So you get 8 gold's worth of stuff.
Okay,
You're,
that'll work.
you're pretty confident you've fleeced them for what they've got over your last 2 trips out looking for
Yep.
extra bits. So it'd be very hard to get any more if you, or at least
Perfect.
today.
No, this is great.
Cool. Astari, you got anything else you want to do?
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm
Okay.
just kind of walking around looking at all the shops, but nothing's really standing out to me that I feel like I think I need.
Okay.
So,
I'm going to find Istari and ask her for the key because I would like to go back and spend some time in meditation.
okay. Yeah, I can hand you over the key and
Okay.
Cool.
I
So-
would like to find some sort of a food stall, either fruit or bread or pastry of some kind, and involve the children and the dog in a mass distraction to see if I can snag something for all of us to snack on.
You're going to try and rob it or buy from it?
Just a little loaf of bread. I mean, I'm
It's
not
still
robbing
thievery.
it per se.
Your Honour.
A li-
I only stole
Yeah,
a
it's
little
like-
bit of
it's
money.
a little bit of it. It's
I didn't rob all the bank. You know what I mean? Okay, so you've got the kids on board. You've got Terrace with you, so they can cause you a distraction for you to try and not steal.
well, steal definitely, but not rob completely.
But yes, give me a sleight of hand check with advantage because you've got the kids on board and Terrace.
When you roll sleight of hand, what is that exactly?
Dexterity.
Dexterity. Okay.
It is your ability to sleight of
It's
hand.
2. I didn't do well. I got like 12.
So all you are doing there is setting the difficulty number that I have to, if I can
Okay.
see you do it. So if you rolled a 5 and I rolled a 4, you'd still succeed.
Okay.
Yeah. I rolled a 9, so on your 12, you succeed.
I barely succeeded, but I got it.
So you managed to not steal anything except what you
Except for a
stole.
loaf of bread.
Yeah,
And I'll split it up amongst the kids, and we'll just eat bread.
cool. So you and the kids are eating bread in the streets.
That's it. Yeah.
What was I saying? Nim, you went back to hotel. Started
Yes,
around.
when I get there, I want to use my channel divinity for my artisan's blessing and craft myself a shield with some of the materials I brought.
Can you read that out, please?
Yes, Artisan's Blessing. It's a 1-hour ritual, crafts non-magical item that must include some metal, i.e. simple material, a suit of armor, etc., martial weapons as well. Creation completed at the end of an hour, worth no more than 100 gold pieces. I lay the metal coins, etc., whatever I collected, the value of the total creation. It will basically merge all together and form the shield at the end of it.
Okay.
The ritual can duplicate non-magical items that contain metal, such as a key, if I possess the original during the ritual as well.
Okay.
So that is one of the Cleric of the Forge abilities.
That's cool. So, give me a religion check. So during your hour of creation.
Hey, I'm actually proficient in that one. $18.
So, during your focus, you've channeled divinity, so you are calling on the power of your faith.
Mm-hmm.
During it, you hear the sounds, the ambience of a forge, and it isn't mimicking what you're doing with your pulling together of this divine energy to form the shield. You hear the metal hammers hitting. You hear the blowing. I can't remember what it's called, but you hear it going.
Bellows.
There you go. You can almost smell the presence of a forge. And in front of you, just in the air in front of you, you see 6 stars take shape. And the shape you see of these 6 stars is a hammer, a very large hammer. The constellation you see in front of you is Barak the Everhammer, also known as the Eternal Smith. And that constellation is responsible for one of the Titan creators called Anvil, who was responsible for forging the very elemental planes themselves.
Wow.
This information comes to you during this creation of this shield.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So during that hour, what are the rest of you doing? You've got your bread that you borrowed.
I
Um,
don't think they're gonna want it back.
yeah. Audrey, Istari, are you returning to the marble, or are you still not stealing other things in the market?
I'll probably go look for healing potions too, of some sort.
Okay, are you looking for proper healing potions or natural?
Natural.
Okay. So you noticed that Astari was at his store earlier, talking to a dwarven lady with a wonderful beard. But yeah, they sell the natural.
Do I
Remedies.
recognize the plants as healing?
You do. There are
Okay.
some definite curative flora on this sales pitch, but there's also a few that you're probably not convinced people should be ingesting mid-fight. But they are still all billed as curatives.
Cool. Cool. Going to, ma'am, if I may.
Hello.
Hi. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm very well, and you can see they're kind of looking around the market for somebody.
Just to take a moment of your time, are your tonics made with the herbs that are on this table, or specific ones?
Yes. All the herbs you see before you are put into our remedies and tonics and such.
Okay, that's lovely. That's lovely. I would like to buy some of the raw herbs, if I may.
Yes. Are you an alchemist yourself? Are you
Just dabbling, hardly anything. I'll point out a couple of the healing ones or healing aid ones.
curative? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
She'll pass you a as much as you want weight wise, and a not brown paper bag, but like a similar. Well, this maybe a silver for everything here.
Alright, that sounds fair. I will pass her over a silver. I don't steal from everyone.
That's me.
So, what is the plan? Are you all eventually meeting back up at the marble in the room?
Yes, that is where I would head back towards.
Cool. Astari, you? Yep. Cool.
Yeah, I
So-
figure I'm heading there.
So, you've all finished doing what you need to do regarding the market and building a thieves guild from children. You are now back at the hotel. You have finished your crafting and meditation, Nim, and you are all in the room at your 4 bunk beds. Again, you can move around if you want to go sit somewhere else.
What
But
time of day is it
It
before
is-
we go in here?
I would say it's past midday now. Like, you spent a couple of hours rocking around, buying stuff, etc.
Okay.
the hour that passed of Nim obviously meditating, you three were out and about. So it's early afternoon, so say 1, maybe 2, coming up to. But yes, you've had a good half a day easy of the town so far.
Okay.
So you're all together again.
I would like to take the time to set down my pack and make it look like I'm pulling stuff out of it, including the cloth and the gladius and some other stuff, and take some time to sit and attune to that. See if it is magical or if I can glean what its properties are.
Cool. So that'll take you roughly an hour to, piss about with it and, etc. It's a technical term. But yes. So whilst you notice Audrey is focusing on this short, thick-bladed sword, what are the rest of you doing? Or if anything?
Quietly polishing my shield, thinking about what other gear besides like leather and whatnot that the people around here wear if I need to go get cloth. But I think for the most part, just like leather hides and shields are acceptable.
Cool. So you all noticed that Nim's now got a shield that wasn't there before, and Audrey's got a short sword that wasn't there before.
I'll be looking at all of Audrey's stuff until she makes me go away. And then I'll move over to Nim, and I'll stare at her stuff, and then I'll stare at the little thing she has on her head, and then I'll stare for a really long time at that, and then I'll shift on my feet back and forth for a while.
I'm looking down polishing the shield and I notice you doing this and I'll be like, if you want to touch them, you just have to ask.
Can I? Why, thank you.
Yes.
And then I want to pet
Don't. They give a little bobble when you touch them. Like there is a resistance to them moving out of line with the rest of the horn, but it's not like solid.
There are oohs and ahs.
A bobbly thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll do that for a few minutes, and then I'll wander over to. I'm so sorry, I cannot remember your character's name. What is the other character's name? The elf.
Are we looking
What
for
is
Astari?
Asari. Yes, Asari. I'll wander over to Asari. What you doing?
I'm just sitting here. I'm not doing. I'm like looking around, and maybe I'll ask like, "Am I ill prepared? Is there anything else I should have gotten? Should I run back out? It's kind of hot outside, so I came in to hang out."
Sort of uncomfortably close to you. How was your day?
Kind of scooch away.
Yeah.
Look around.
Did you get anything in the market?
I got some bread.
Well, that's not. I mean, it's good to have food. I wonder if I should get snacks to carry around.
You should definitely have snacks. Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should go find some like jerky or something that I can like bring. Ooh, maybe I should get more peaches.
We could probably get dried meats and fruits. Maybe even find some cheeses.
That's not a bad idea. Maybe I should go venture back
Cheese
out
in the
and get a few
desert.
more
It's a good idea.
I might ask Nim if she like has any advice. I noticed that she has like this awesome shield and she seems very centered and well prepared. I'll ask her if I should have gotten anything else.
I think that the caravan is planned to provide by large most of what we'll need. I am preparing to pack extra water skins. However, and I'll kind of lightly tap the plate metal that I'm wearing, I am going to be making another piece of gear tomorrow and I can't leave this behind. So I can't carry much extra weight, but desert to me means dry and hot, so extra water is always good food as well.
Cool. Maybe I don't know, maybe I'll quickly just run out and grab some water and food or something.
I'll give her the key before she goes so she can get back in.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I will giggle at the fact that talking to her made her run out of the room. And then I'll move back over to Audrey and stare at her.
That's fine. I'll pat the bed so you can jump up next to me.
Excellent.
It's fine. whenever I'm done inspecting the gladius and finding out whether or not I really did find a magical shiny, I would like to fashion the cloth into just covers for us
Okay.
from the sun. I'm assuming we've seen other people in the market that are similar.
And you know, you will have all done similar for different weather types. Like you've to the fact that you've reached level 5 astounds me, by the way. But you know, you've experienced life a little bit. But yeah, you're more than able to do that. For the sword, give us an Arcana check.
I'm proficient in Arcana.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
You're gonna hate me by the end of this.
It's rogues. They're proficient in everything.
20, non-natural.
20.
Dang.
Unholy 20. So, what you discover from the sword is you must attune to it.
Mm-hmm.
It is mechanically it is a +1, so that will be +1 to hit and +1 to damage. Once per long rest, you roar like a dragon, and up to 6 people you choose gain 1d6 temporary hit points.
Ooh. That's pretty nice. I can't believe you stole that.
Me neither.
Me neither. The additional thing to add is if you use the rallying call of it, it gives the temporary hit points. The next dawn, you roll a d20. If you get a nat 1, that power is gone.
Like completely forever.
Yes, but it still remains a +1 magical sword.
Interesting. What is the temporary hit point dice?
1d6.
1d6.
Yeah.
Okay. I now have to see if I'm proficient in using a gladius.
You are. It's a short sword.
Okay, okay.
So stat-wise, it's a short sword, which I believe is finesse or something,
Yes,
or
it is.
light weapon or something like that. But yeah, you should be proficient with it.
Okay. Okay, so in the dawn of the next morning, I have to roll a d20. If it's a 1, it
You-
loses the ability.
Yeah, but only if you've used it. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, it's not every morning. It's the next morning after using the power.
Okay. What did you call the buff again?
The what? Sorry.
The roar.
Rallying call. I think I called it.
Okay.
It's lore now.
Yeah, I'll dig it out. Cheers, Uli. Short sword, 1d6 damage, finesse and light. There you go.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I disapprove.
Don't worry. As long as we get enough sessions in, you'll all have magic stuff.
Oh, I only disapprove as character who doesn't actually know, but you know.
So, you've done your forging, your channel divinities. You've done your checking out what this magic item is. Istari and Saskia. You've nipped back out, Astari. You've gotten food, drink, etc. Any of the like general things that you've now reminded yourself, I might take a few of those. You are all aware that, like Nim said, that the caravan will provide, hopefully, food and drink and such. But it's always good to have your own personal stash. I'm going to end the session there before we go on any other further adventures, because it is somewhat later in the day, or actually earlier in the day for myself. But that's the first session, guys, of Walking Dreams, your first adventures in Colossus. There you go. Thank you very much. That was that was a journey. I'll be honest. That
We have
was
a
I did
couple
apologize
mischievous
to you.
people.
I
dwarven
did apologize
flirting,
to you
Robin
when I got
bread.
started with this heavy. I did. I told you I was a handful. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's good. I love it. So, well, I'm going to wrap it up. But thank you very much to all your communities that jumped on in the chat. It's super cool. I've had 1 or 2 stragglers of my own. Well done, Oli. Well done. But yeah, thank you very much for joining in and checking stuff out. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. We don't have a consistent every Saturday or anything like that. We'll all work together, come up with another date, and we will let you know when the next session is. Because hopefully, you know, we'll keep going and you lot will want to do more and more in Colossus. So, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much to Ashana, to Misty, to Onyx, to Mahoodles. Go check them out if you don't already. If you don't, I don't know how you're in this chat. But thank you very much for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you soon. So for now, this is tradition. Say good night, players.
Good night.
Good night, and thank you, Heavy.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you.
Right, everyone wave. Bye bye.